All right, here we go. Sorry about the delay. Had a few OBS related issues. You guys know how it goes, right? Not everything can always go smoothly. No, I just had a few issues setting up my webcam today. I don't know what the deal is, but it hasn't been saving my webcam settings, which is kind of weird. So when I go in and I set up my broadcast and, I've got the whole sidebar and everything, right? Trying to be fancy. But for whatever reason, the past few weeks I've done this stream. It just has not saved my webcam being in the software that I use for streaming. So I have to go back in, right? And I've got like 8 or 9, I'm not going to count them all out, but however many different scenes, right? If you guys have ever used OBS, you know all about OBS scenes. But if you don't, it's just pretty much like, let's say I switch and move the ball right here, right, for Immaculate Grid. We're going to go back because we're in the welcome part of our show. But for each one of those, when the ball moves or when the camera angle change, or not the camera angle, but like when the webcam gets smaller and you can see my screen, every single one of those that I change, I had to go back and put the webcam in and get it sized just right. So that took a little bit of time, and then I had to get the thumbnail in, which usually doesn't take that long, but just a little bit of extra stuff to do today. But that being said, good morning to all of you. See, we got a few people in here already. I've got my coffee going, drinking hot coffee today, which is pretty unusual for me, but I brewed some this morning. I could have put it in the fridge, but it wouldn't have been cold enough in time. So we're gonna be a real adult and drink some hot coffee black out of our cup. So out of our mug that we got at Urban Outfitters in Savannah, Georgia, of all places. But that's a story for another day. But anyways, you guys know the drill at this point, right? You're in here. Feel free to say hello in chat. Looks like we've already got Caden and Pearchamp in here. Good morning to you guys. Welcome to the stream. Caden saying, rah, 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 fireworks, explosions. I think a little Jonathan Gannon reference right there, right? Shoo, 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 shoo. Which I believe he was saying that to Rondale Moore, who's no longer on the team. But you know what? People clowned on Gannon for that. I don't know, man. He's doing a heck of a job this year with the Cardinals. I'm going to that Vikings-Cardinals game next week. I'm pretty nervous, dude. Like, we'll talk about the Cardinals in a little bit here because they got another big game here today. But good to have you in here. Pearchamp saying good morning, Doc, and hello from Wisconsin. Well, I appreciate you spending your time in Wisconsin here with me, getting ready for an awesome football Sunday. That's right. I'm like 99% sure you said this. You are going to that Packers 49ers game, right? That is so awesome, dude. If that is the case, I'm like 99% sure. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Well, have fun at that game here today, and I appreciate you spending your morning getting ready for that game here on the Pigskin Pregame. Caden saying he's a player's coach. He really is, man. I mean, you just look at the way that their defense plays, right? Obviously, not all of defense boils down to effort, and the Cardinals are maybe working with a bit of a talent deficit right now, but man, they just play so hard. Like, just the way they fly to the ball, and even though they're not the best on defense, like they should be, like, terrible on defense. They should be, like, one of, like, the 2 or 3 worst defenses in the league, but they're not, and effort is a big part of that, and Gannon has been doing a lot of funky stuff. I think we were talking about that in the Instagram, the Fargo Instagram chat, right? Like, they will come out in like these penny fronts where they have literally just one linebacker, it's 5 down linemen, and then 5 defensive backs, right? Like, they will do some weird stuff. He does a lot of weird stuff, and it's weird because when he was in Philly, the criticism of him was, oh, he's too bland, he's too vanilla, he doesn't scheme up enough, he's getting carried by talent. But the complete opposite has been the case here in Arizona. Pearchamp saying Culver's is good. Oh man, I haven't had Culver's in a minute. I might have to grab some Culver's when I'm back in Fargo this next week. Oh, what I would do for some cheese curds right now, a little value basket, maybe multiple value baskets. If you know, you know. But yeah. Oh, and a concrete mixer. Dude, I created some abominations of concrete mixers back in my day, but oh, I could kill for some Culver's right now. But good to have the Packers fellas in here. Good to see you guys here. Title of the stream, right? The underdogs will be woofing. You might look at the slate today and be like, there's not too many games. A lot of big underdogs, a lot of big spreads. I don't know, man. I think we're going to get some good games. I think we might see some upsets, right? The underdogs will be woofing. And I tell you what, the primetime games today and tomorrow are great. Monday and Sunday night, both fantastic games. The 4 o'clock window is looking spicy. And honestly, I think we're going to get some good games in the 1 o'clock window. We'll get to that a little bit. There's one game in particular I've got a take on that I can't wait to get off my chest here. It is a very predictable Dr. Pigskin take. Like, honestly, once I say it, you'll be like, of course he's saying this. Of course he is. But we'll just have to see. Pair Champ saying the game should be good. Would have been cool to see Purdy and Love battle again, but I don't mind an easier fight for better record in the playoff race. Yeah, 49ers just super banged up right now. Right now, Brandon Allen is going to be the starting quarterback, right? I was a little sad it wasn't Josh Dobbs, but you know how it is, right? Brandon Allen was listed as QB2 all year long. I get it, right? But I was hoping for some Josh Dobbs magic here, but yeah, and I don't know if Bosa's going to play or not, right? He's kind of been up in the air. Obviously, they're still without Dre Greenlaw, no Brandon Ayuk. Kittle was out last week. I think he'll be playing this week, but they are just so injured right now, man. Just probably one of the most injured teams in the league. But anyways, got 10:16 here on the clock. Let us get into this show. We're going to warm up our brains as we always do, with a little bit of immaculate grid. And I can't lie, when I set up my screen, I did take a quick peek at the board. I don't have the teams memorized or anything. You know, I try and play this pretty clean, pretty legit, right? But I did see a few of the teams involved, but we're just going to walk through this here. We've got Seahawks, Broncos, Seahawks, Bills, Seahawks, Cardinals. We were just talking about the Cardinals. And we've got Broncos, Panthers, Bills, Panthers, Cardinals, Panthers, Broncos, Jets, Bills, Jets, and Cardinals, Jets. Let's dive into this. But first, Caden saying I need to be a spokesperson for Culver's. Dude, you have no idea. I know J.J. Watt's got his meal right now, and that's probably going to be pretty hard to usurp. I think that's the correct use of that word, right? It's going to be pretty hard to top J.J. Watt. I don't think I have quite the pull that J.J. Watt has, but I tell you what, maybe one day the doctor will have his own Culver's special. Let's just say that he's got a special order. And if you can't decide, just get both value baskets. I like your thinking right there. And why not throw in a fruit punch while you're at it? All right. So, off the rip. Seahawks, Broncos. This is a weird one, right? I want to put Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice technically did not make the Broncos roster. I think he was cut after the preseason. That would have been a crazy one, but I don't think we can do that. How about DJ Jones, right? Am I crazy? Wait, no, is DJ Jones still... He's still on the Broncos, I think, right? I know he went 49ers to Broncos. I don't know if he's on the Seahawks or not. I'm a little scared to put that one. I don't know why I think that DJ Jones is on Seattle right now. I'm going to stay away from that. Broncos, Panthers. This was the Super Bowl 50 matchup. Man. We're going to see if we can get some good ones early. There was one that I thought of. Okay, why do I want to say Thomas Rawls played for the Cardinals? I'm a little scared of that one too. Thomas Rawls would be crazy. I don't think I'm going to get that one. Okay, what about Kelvin Benjamin for Bills Panthers? Let's just get Kelvin Benjamin to start. We'll start off. This might be a higher percentage one. I don't know. 33%. That's a little high. Whatever. We'll take Kelvin Benjamin to start us off. Get a little layup going, right? We'll try and get a few crazy. We'll see if we can get 2 squares below 5%. And I already know Pair Champ's got something cooked up in the chamber, dude. He is the king of helping me out with these, but we'll see. Oh, that's who I was thinking of. Robert Kimdichie for I'm going to spell his name wrong. Nope, there we go. Got drafted by the Cardinals. I swear he went to the Seahawks. I'm a little scared. I'm going to do it. Oh, let's go. All right. There's our first sub 5% right there. Robert Kimdichie. He didn't play for Seattle very long, I don't think. He was super hyped, like when he got recruited by Ole Miss, and then I think he had some off-the-field stuff at Ole Miss, but he was a beast when he did play in college, but fell in the draft pretty late. The Cardinals scooped him up at the back end of the first round. Never quite really panned out, but he was a super intriguing talent for a while. Robert Kimdichie. Caden saying Hassan Reddick for Cardinals Jets. That's a good one. Well, actually, wait, no, he's played for the Jets now. I was going to say he would have had to appeared in an active game, but he has now. 6%? That's a little surprising. I suppose it's probably understandable that a lot of people have forgotten about Hassan Reddick's Cardinals days where they tried to make him an off-ball linebacker. They're like, you know what? Go play like Luke Kuechly. Don't rush the passer. That's lame. We want you to fill run gaps or whatever we call it. You know, play the run. Go cover, right? Like in hindsight, isn't that not just the craziest thing ever? Cardinals draft Hassan Reddick. They tried to make him a linebacker, like a middle linebacker. And then eventually their last year, they're like, whatever, go rush the passer. And he had that one game where he got 6 sacks and he's like, nah, I'm not coming back here. Oh, you could have got him for Cardinals Panthers too, because he went to the Panthers afterwards. Oh, that would have been a crazy one. But honestly, I wonder if Cardinals Jets is a lower percentage, and I'm sure we can come up with a good Cardinals Panthers one. Trevor Siemian Broncos Jets, that's a great one. There you go, pair champ already coming through. Trevor Siemian, that's a great one. Bang, 5%. Still not sub 5%, whatever. We'll count it. We'll still see if we can get some good ones. Oh, Bills Jets. Why do I want to say Brad Smith? Come on, give me Brad Smith. Yes, Brad Smith, 2%. He was like, I think he was a quarterback in college, and then he switched to wide receiver. But the Rex Ryan Jets, they would do a lot of weird packages with him. They'd have him like come in at quarterback every once in a while. He was kind of a tweener. He never really found a position. He returned kicks and punts for a little bit, I think. Brad Smith, that's crazy. Let's go. All right, I'm glad I got to pull out Brad Smith. Chris Ivory play for the Bills? I don't think so. I believe it was Saints, Jets, and then I want to say he ended his career on the Jaguars for some reason. I'm going to look that up. If he did, I'm not going to use it, but I'll give you credit, Caden. Oh, yeah, there is the Jaguars. Oh, my gosh. He did play for the Bills. I'm sorry, dude. You know what? No, I'm going to use it. I will use it, but I will give you credit. I'm not going to sell you like that. That's crazy. I just doubted you. That's crazy. Yeah, he did. Final year of his career. 115 carries, scored 1 touchdown. That's crazy that you remembered that. That is a crazy pull right there. I'm going to do it. Where'd it go? Wait. Oh, that's tough. All right, we already used that square. All right, never mind. I would have sold you, though. All right, we've got 4 more here. We're actually doing pretty well, all things considered, after a tough start. Cardinals and Panthers. Chris Ivory, Madden Mobile Idol. I love it. Remember Dree Archer? That's a good Madden Mobile player right there. That is the Madden Mobile player. Anthony Hargrove, Bills and Seahawks. That's crazy. Anthony Hargrove. Wow. I like barely remember this guy. Oh my gosh. Pair champ, dude. Honestly, like one of these days, like I just gotta have you fill out this entire grid and see you get like a rarity score of 20 or something crazy like that. That's insane. You know what? I'm feeling myself. DJ Jones. This scares the crap out of me. Yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking, dude. He's like still on the Broncos, is he not? I don't know why I thought Seattle signed him. Yeah, that's so tough. That's so tough. They played Seattle earlier in the year. I don't know why I thought that like, oh, that was one of Mike McDonald's signings, you know. Like I know they drafted Byron Murphy and they wanted to beef up the interior. That's on me. That's tough. Whatever. We'll see if we can get 2 more good ones though, since we've got 2 guesses left. I don't know where that came from. Oh, welcome back, Wolf. Good to have you in here. How you doing? Good morning to you. Hey, how about the Browns? A crazy win on Thursday night. That ended up being a good game. You know, I was like casually watching the first half. I was playing a little bit of Xbox, right? I was just casually watching it. Ended up getting off for the night. I was a little tired and I was like, you know what? Let's turn this game on. And dude, I turned it on. I like turned it back on after halftime. Looked like a snow globe there. I was like, all right, this rocks. This rocks. This was such a cool game. Gritty win for the Cleveland Browns. How about playing spoiler against your rivals, huh? We got Jack Gothberg in here too. Welcome to the stream, Jack. Good to have you in here. Saying DJ Dallas. When you say DJ Dallas, you talking some Broncos and Seahawks? DJ. Oh wait, isn't it? Yeah, I'm a little scared. It's got to be right because he played for Seattle. No, dude, I'm silly, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, no, I will like. I will lead protests in Cleveland if they build a dome. I just that's a soapbox for another day. I am really struggling with this grid right now, but domes kill the spirit of football. That's what and I say that as like my team plays in a dome, and honestly, it disgusts me. If I could change one thing about the Vikings, it would not be our quarterback situation or any sort of coaching hires or bringing in Dexter Lawrence. It would be taking that hideous roof off of the stadium we play in, unironically. Anyways, all right, let's see if we can get one. Dude, we really screwed the pooch here. Man, Hassan Reddick would have been crazy for that one too. What do I want to say? There's like a big defensive tackle or something. I don't know. I don't even know at this point. I'm questioning everything. That is what football is right there. Oh, there you go. I can never pronounce his name correctly. Steve Burlean. I think that's how you say it, right? He was like, wasn't he like one of the Panthers' first like draft picks ever, right? Maybe not. All right. We'll take a 263. We'll live with that. Jeremy Chin, Panthers Cardinals. Now, unfortunately, he was drafted by the Panthers, played out his rookie contract there, and now he's on Washington. He does kind of give Cardinals vibes, though, doesn't he? I don't blame you for thinking Jeremy Chin was a Cardinal. It's like weird, but like, he kind of gives Cardinals vibes a little bit, right? They like those tweener defensive backs a little bit. But that was the immaculate grid. Rough showing from me. I kind of got carried by chat here a little bit, but we'll live with that. We'll bounce back better next time, right? Just got to get in the lab a little bit. Maybe you got to spend a little bit more time on Pro Football Reference. Play a few old Madden games, right? I feel like that's, if you're like a professional immaculate grid player, which would be crazy, that is something you could totally do. But now that is done and dusted, it is time to open up the lines, as in the fantasy hotline. Let's do this, right? Gonna go set my fantasy lineups. But first, before we do even that, let's check in a little bit with the picks competition here. Let's check in, see how things are doing. We've got 25 people strong in this group. We'll give a little update, and then I will go set my lineups. Rakija Brown and Crowns LLC holding strong in first place. Rakija Brown has been killing it all year long. Rakija Brown, if you are out there, if you are watching this, shout out to you. I see you. Crowns LLC, I want to say they like entered in late, but they're holding strong too. Look at that. Tied at the top with 113 wins. We got Farm Ball Ganymede not too far behind. Here's Christine still in fifth, tied with Vita Vea's Chip Tooth. I can't believe it, right? Look at Christine killing me. Absolutely killing me. We got Green Gandalf, right? Here's Henry Pretzel God at 10th. We got Parker. Might have seen him. Friend of the show. Friend of me. Parker Wieland. Not to say his government name, but whatever. We're all chill, right? Here I am in 12th. I'm not even in the top 10 in my own pick'em, you know? Isn't that kind of crazy? I had a pretty good week last week. Not as good as T. Sweeney, though. He went crazy, but, you know, I got a few of those upsets, right? I got the Steelers beating the Ravens. Yeah, not a bad week for me. And right behind me is Zeke Elliott, a.k.a. Jack Gothberg. How about it? How about it? But we've got some strong injuries. Wow, I almost said injuries. We've got some strong entries here. Strong entries. All right. But you guys know the drill at this point, right? I'm going to be setting my lineups. You can hit me with the fantasy questions. We got Pear Champ coming in here already. Hopefully I won't screw you. Saying pick 2 wide receivers to start. Christian Watson, Xavier Worthy, and JSN. I feel like the way he's playing, JSN's got to be the easiest pick of the bunch, right? You got to start him. Dude, they've been getting him the ball. Geno Smith has been throwing the ball well. I talked up this Cardinals defense, but still, a little bit of a talent deficit, right? JSN should be able to get his against this Cardinals defense. He's become the high volume guy there. He might not get the big plays that DK does, but man, Ryan Grubb has done a good job of really being intentional about getting him the ball. So I would say JSN for sure. From there, Watson or Worthy, that's tough, right? Because obviously the Panthers defense, pretty well documented. They're not exactly a great unit either, right? I mean, I don't know, right? But we know my feelings about Worthy. I mean, he's so boomer bust, right? And I still think that he's just got a ways to go as a pure receiver. We've seen him struggle to track the ball or position himself well. Like, he kind of sold Mahomes on that deep ball last week where he like just caught it out of bounds. And it's like, nah, that's a good throw. Worthy just didn't put himself in a good spot. But Christian Watson's a little scary too. And as Caden, one of our Packers fans, is saying, hasn't seen a lot of targets, but he has been making some crazy plays, right? And that's the scary thing with this Packers offense, right? You don't know who it's going to be this week. I think I will go Christian Watson, though, right? That 49ers defense is pretty banged up, right? No Charvarius Ward, their top corner. Maybe no Nick Bosa. I do think it could be a Josh Jacobs type of game, but I will say, for what it's worth, even though he doesn't get targeted a ton, like usually Jordan Love does like to go to Watson. They seem to have a pretty good connection. I love me some Dontavion Wicks, but I just can't trust that man right now. Oh, I'm a little scared. I know my fantasy takes haven't always been the best recently, but I think I will go JSN and Watson. I think those would be the two that I would pick personally. Wolf asking if he should pick up Tom Brady off of waivers. You know, unironically, when Tua went down week 2, like right after the game, I may or may not have picked up Tom Brady, even though like, you know, like those rumors of him going to Miami are like stupid and obviously it wasn't going to happen. I was like, but what if it did? But what if it did? You know? But it obviously didn't. All right, this team, we're getting kind of ravaged by bye weeks. No Jamar Chase, no Brian Thomas Jr., no Shakir, no Kyle Pitts. I had to make some moves off of waivers, right? Went and picked up Will Dissly. I don't hate that against the Ravens. Their pass defense has been a little leaky. Herbert's like throwing to him, right? Obviously, we're pretty good at receiver. Josh Jacobs, yeah. I like Jacobs as a play a lot today. If you've got Josh Jacobs, I mean, he's probably starting regardless because he's been good this year, but I don't know, man. Against this bruised 49ers defense, and now there's no Purdy, so maybe the Packers can control the game a little bit more. I could see Josh Jacobs having like his biggest game of the season here today. Well, I don't know, maybe not. Didn't he have like a crazy game against the Colts? He did have 151 yards, but no touchdowns. I could see him getting like around 130 and a touchdown today. I really do think we'll be in line for a big Josh Jacobs day. So as someone that owns him in a couple of leagues, I think, maybe just this one, but someone that owns him, that excites me. That excites me. All right, this one's good. I've already made like a lot of my moves because I had to do so much on waivers this week. Just because like this is a tough week for fantasy, man. All the bye weeks. Like I don't envy people that have like heavy shares of like the Bengals offense or the Falcons offense, which is a lot of people, right? These have been good offenses. So we got Herbert starting this week in this one. Josh Allen on his bye. Another good team on a bye, right? Marv's on my bench. I don't know. He's just a little too volatile for me to play him over like Kupp or Amon-Ra, right? And Achane in the flex. I mean, he's been so good with Tua out there, right? So I feel like I gotta roll with him. Also, the Patriots, I mean, they're fine. Their defense is fine. But there's Josh Jacobs again, right? Jonathan Taylor. We'll get to that game in a little bit. I'm probably already giving away what I'm going to say. But whatever, right? No Jake Ferguson. He's out. All right, we're good here. DJ Moore's on my bench. I thought about him. There's another Bears receiver I like today, though, and we'll get into that when we talk about Bears versus Vikings. But there is another Bears receiver that I like. All right, that's my ESPN league. How are we doing in Yahoo? My team, let's see. I have Kyler or Stafford. That Eagles defense is pretty tough. But I do love me some Stafford. Nah, I got to play Kyler. He can run. That's a big edge for him, right? Other than that, I mean, we've got all starters in. Thank goodness I benched Njoku. I almost left him in because I was like, I don't know about Laporta. No, I'm glad I benched him. Bench is pretty rough. Oh, snap. I need a new kicker in defense. It's a good thing I checked this. All right. I need a kicker and I need a defense. To filter. I can't just do it straight away. We'll get Chase McLaughlin again. Why not, right? I have him in one of my other leagues. Let's be consistent about what kicker we cheer for. All right, let's do that. We got Game Solved in here. Welcome to the stream, Game Solved. Good to have you in here. Asking if he starts DJ Moore or D-Hop. I would probably lean DJ Moore, right? New offensive coordinator for the Bears, Thomas Brown. They seem to be making a more concentrated effort to get DJ Moore the football last week, which was a positive development, right? And with D-Hop, they are playing the Panthers again. I don't know. D-Hop barely played last week, which I thought was kind of weird. Maybe he was banged up a little bit and nursing an injury. So maybe the Chiefs will come out and be like, all right, we barely got D up the ball. We saw half the snaps. We got to be better. We got to do more, right? Understandable. I don't know. I might go DJ Moore, and I still think DJ Moore is just a little bit of a better player too. I do like me some DJ Moore. It's been a weird year for him, but I still think he's just such a talented receiver. There's just been so much turmoil in that offense, But I believe that maybe they'll rise above today just a little bit. Miami defense versus the Patriots, I don't hate that. Or the Packers and Lambeau. We'll pick up the Packers defense here. I kind of like that. Going up against the backup quarterback in Lambeau, yeah. Maybe Kyle's got something cooked up, but I don't know. There's only so much he can do, right? There's only so much he can do. All right, we're set for this one. We're now projected to win. Let's go. Let's go to Sleeper, and then we will be able to dive into the Sunday slate. Check in with chat, though. Parachamp saying he ended up having Russ start this week, had 13-ish points. Could have had Stafford start, but the Eagles defense seems to be getting better. I've got an Eagles defense take. They might be the best defense in the NFL, honestly, the way they're playing right now. Oh, man. Well, we'll dive into that when we talk about this Sunday night game. But I was thinking about that. Caden, when you heard me say, that's crazy, I was thinking about the Eagles defense last night. Or was it 2 nights ago? Can't remember. But that's what I was thinking about. I was like, I think they might be the best defense in the NFL. They are playing unbelievable ball right now. Really well coached. A lot of great young talent. What a turnaround for them, because they were terrible on that side of the ball last year. Wolf is saying he heard Aaron Rodgers rumors, and as soon as that happens, people wanted him in Cleveland. I hate my fan base sometimes. Yeah. Hey, believe it. I got you, man. I have also been hearing rumors about Aaron Rodgers going to my favorite team, and it's nah, dude, we don't need him. We don't want bro. I don't want him, dude. We're fine, man. We've got our quarterback of the future. He'll play next year, right? He'll be good, right? But no, we don't need Rodgers. We do not need Rodgers, respectfully. As funny as that might be to continue the trend of Packers quarterback goes to the Jets for a little bit and then ends up on the Vikings. We don't want him. And I understand how you probably feel that way too. It's all right, yeah. Let's go from Deshaun Watson to Aaron Rodgers. That will solve the turmoil in the organization. Wolf also asking, should he start Chuba Hubbard or to go with someone else at the flex like DJ Moore or Jaden Reed? Chuba Hubbard is a tempting play, I will say. I was actually listening to Football 301, the podcast with Nate Tice, Matt Harmon, Charles McDonald. Going on a walk this morning, right? One of the things they highlighted, if the Panthers are going to pull this off, honestly, that run game versus the Chiefs defense, not the worst matchup in the world. And maybe they just pound it with Chuba Hubbard 25 times today, right? Offensive line has been playing pretty well. They've put a lot of money into that. Maybe Chuba goes for 100 and it's a closer game than people anticipate. Very possible. I would not hate playing Chuba at all. However, I still might say DJ Moore. Oh, Jaden Reed is tough too. I mean, the Packers are creative and getting him the ball in so many different ways. Now I'm gonna stick with my gut. I would say Chuba Hubbard. Oh, I don't feel good about that though. Oh, I don't feel good about that. DJ Moore. You know what? Let's go with DJ Moore. All right. Let's set this lineup here. Kyler Murray's back, thank goodness. No more Cooper Rush playing. Although I will say, I may or may not have won playing Cooper Rush last week. This team is pretty nice, honestly. I can't lie. We'll put Nico Collins in there too. We'll swap him out for J-Mo probably. Yeah, have to. I mean, these wide receivers are just disgusting. This is one of my dynasty leagues. Cup, Collins, Marv, Amon-Ra. Then I've got Jameson Williams, Alec Pierce on my bench, Chris Olave, who I guess can go to IR. Goodness, I've got JJ because why not, right? Why not? Yeah, this team, I'm not going to lie, this team is kind of nasty. I might actually win it all this year with this team. We are pretty freaking stacked. But, oh yeah, Pitts is on a bye, right? Yeah, so we got Noah Fant in there. Who's questionable, Rutrow. Well, he better play. He better play. Let's go to this one. Did I end up holding on and winning? No, I didn't. That's right. I got sold by Nico Collins, kind of. I got sold by Laramie Tunzel. I needed Nico Collins to get me X amount of points. And of course, first play of the game last week, Nico houses a screen, and then it gets called back because Laramie Tunzel was like 9 yards downfield blocking before the ball was even thrown. And of course, I played Chubb last week thinking, oh, he's going to go crazy, and then he didn't. And now Chubb gets 2 touchdowns on Thursday. How it be, man. I have been struggling in this league a little bit. I started off so strongly, and I love some of the young talent I have on this team, but what else is there to say? I'm just going to have to roll with Bateman again. I don't love it. He's a little inconsistent. We're going to put Downs in here to make our lineup look more sick. I do love me some Josh Downs. I guess we're just going to stick with this, man. I don't know. I'm kind of having a 2023 Jaguars type year in this league. It's tough, right? This is FC Dr. Pigskin. This is my brand. I'm supposed to dominate this league. Nope. Oh, well, we're playing for the future, right? We've got some developmental prospects on this team. We're going to mold them into something. I'm going to have to coach these guys up. But that was the Fantasy Hotline. Thank you guys for playing along and humoring me. Parachamp saying, I feel like Rodgers just can't leave Devontae in New York, though. No, there's no way he'd leave his bestie, right? Devontae would probably follow him. But, I mean, he seems pretty adamant on, like, he does not want to be back there, right? He wants to play in 2025, but not for the Jets. It's like, all right, Aaron Rodgers, the Raider, is going to happen or something like that. I don't know about the Raiders. What would be, like, the funniest landing spot for Aaron Rodgers? Not the Vikings. That's not an acceptable answer. I will not accept that as an answer. I mean, like, what team needs a quarterback right now, right? That, like, won't be picking high. I saw, like, Aaron Rodgers to the Tennessee Titans was a rumor. It's like, that seems so weird. That seems so bizarro to me. But I could almost see it. Like, just go hang out in Nashville and retire or something. I'll say the Titans. Why not? They're bizarre enough that, like, it'll be, I don't know. But it's just so weird. Seeing them in that uniform would be weird. As if it wasn't weird seeing him in a Jets uniform. But Wolf saying, nah, let's go from Watson to Jameis Winston and keep Winston for a minute till he can sit on that bench happily with the cash he's earned. Hey, Jameis, he had some nice throws in the snow on Thursday. He really did, you know. He ran around a little bit. We got the full Jameis experience. There was a few silly throws, but he had a few nice throws too. He played all right, you know. He played all right. Game Solved asking if I'm streaming any primetime games this week. I am. Tomorrow night, we're going live for the Harble. I think it's going to be a good game too, right? Good Monday night game. Ravens and Chargers, two of the better teams in the AFC, honestly. We watched the Chargers last week. Herbert's playing awesome football right now, right? And I mean, just come on, right? It's Jim versus John Harbaugh. It's the Harble. Yeah. Monday Night Football, Joe and Troy. That one's going to be awesome. You know, I've been flirting with streaming tonight too because I am like stupidly excited for this Sunday night game. But I honestly think tonight, I'm just going to drink it all in and enjoy it. I'm just going to sit down old-fashioned style, right, and just watch that game from start to finish on my big TV, you know, kicking up my feet on my recliner, right? I think that's the move for tonight. But tomorrow night, we will be going live for the Harble, and that should be a good game. I'm pretty fired up for that one. That has some massive implications for the playoff race, and I mean, it's Jim and John, man. Doesn't get much better than that. So Monday night, I will be going live. I've got work. I've got a meeting to cover Monday night, but we will be getting out of there, right? I will be writing my story that I need. We got an early deadline for the paper this week because of Thanksgiving. But Monday Night Football, man, should be a good time. So we won't have to wait too long to see me again, which will be nice. Hopefully it's nice for you guys. Wolf saying Jameis has been trying to save Cooper, Njoku, and Elijah Moore's season. Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy, right? The quarterback plays a little bit better, and all of a sudden, the receivers are producing a little bit more. It's like, you know, they actually do have a little bit of talent in the receiver room. A little bit more than maybe even I anticipated a little bit. So, all right. Here we go. It's time for the Sunday slate. And as I've kind of alluded to, and as you've probably heard on all these different outlets, right? You look at the Sunday slate, you look at some of the games, and you think, man, what a letdown from last week, right? Look at all these good teams playing bad teams. Look at all these big spreads. Look at all these home underdogs. 3.5 7, 7, 6, 11, 10.5, 7, 5.5, 5.5. Close game, all right, close game, all right, close game, right? Ends pretty strongly. But on the surface level, doesn't look that intriguing. Well, here's my contention. This is the NFL. This is the league built on any given Sunday. And I believe that we will see some upsets today, right? Nothing is ever perfectly chalk. Nothing ever happens exactly like how you think it's going to go. This is an unpredictable sport, right? There's some good parity in the league right now. There's some good teams. And I think that we will see a few upsets brew today, specifically in the earlier part of the Sunday. I do not think that this will be as boring of a Sunday as some people are making it out to be. And of course, it's an NFL Sunday. You get 18 of these a year in the regular season, plus the playoffs, right? You only get so many. You got to cherish it regardless. But we're going to dive in, right? You know the drill at this point. We're going to preview each of these games. And we're going to start, of course, with my favorite team, the beloved Minnesota Vikings, going to Chicago to take on the Bears. This, I always like to call, is a cursed matchup, right? Vikings versus Bears, a very cursed matchup. No matter where these teams are in their season, no matter the trajectory of these franchises, no matter how good or bad the Vikings or Bears are, these games just always seem to be close, don't they? And they always seem to be just like weird, especially at Soldier Field. Man, Vikings at Soldier Field, like they insist on making it a close game every single time. I'm going to be honest. I think that it can be easy to look past this game a little bit. You know, like looking at this part of the Vikings schedule, I've seen a lot of people be like, like a lot of easy wins coming up. I don't know, man. Bears in Chicago, new offensive coordinator, vibes seem to be a little bit better. This is a very clearly talented team. I am a little worried about this game. And in fact, old reliable. Yeah, I picked the Bears. I'm not going to lie. I'm picking the Bears to win this game. I really am. This is not just a, oh, woe is me, who's got it worse than us type of situation. I think the Bears can pose a few real problems for the Vikings, specifically if they can get after Sam Darnold, right? We saw Darnold stay fairly clean against the Titans last week, all things considered, right? And he did himself a lot of favors. I thought Sam Darnold played excellent last week. He did a great job of managing the pocket. He escaped. He had some nice scrambles. He had some nice throws on the run. He really limited the boneheaded mistakes that have kind of been a little scary recently, right? But still, Cam Robinson, he's been fine. He is no Christian Darrisaw. And it has also severely hurt the Vikings in the run game. As fine as Robinson has been, he's been a great Band-Aid and certainly better than David Quessenberry. There's a noticeable difference. There is a noticeable difference in this offense's performance with, just a lesser left tackle, to be quite frank, out there, right? And Darnold is always flirting with disaster. The run game has been solid, but that is another thing. I think that's taken just as big of a hit, if not a bigger hit, without Darrisaw, as the run game, right? I tell you what, man, this Bears defense has been pretty good, and it's been good throughout really the whole year, even when they started losing some games, right? I mean, they played the Commanders super well on defense, pulling up their schedule right now, right? The Patriots game, they held them to 19. They could have won that game, right? Packers, they held them to 20, right? Cardinals kind of got theirs, but even during this losing streak, the Bears defense has still been playing well. And I know they lost to the Packers last week, and it was a very frustrating loss. But man, their offense showed signs of life that we haven't seen in a while. And players just seemed a little bit more bought in. I thought Caleb played pretty well. I think this defense can cause some problems for the Vikings. And this offense, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. Listen to the Mina Kimes show a couple days ago. She had Brett Coleman on there talking about this game. And Brett highlighted something that, quite honestly, there's no way I would have ever caught this, right? But the Bears, essentially, to put it in layman's terms, have been isolating Rome Odunze a lot more since, I guess it was one game, but since Thomas Brown took over as their offensive coordinator. What they would do is they would have the strong side of the formation, more guys on the short side of the field, right? If the ball's spotted on the left hash, right, that's the field side to the left. They would put more guys on the left side and then just leave like a Dunze out on his own on the right side, right? So much space for him to work with. Usually teams don't do that very often, right? Usually like league average is like of doing that. They call it like formation into boundary, where the strong side of the formation is on the short side of the field. Teams do that. I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 10% of the time, right, in a game, right? The Bears did that 30% of the time last week. And we saw Rome Odunze kind of get going. Some of those shots downfield that we saw like even back in preseason that got us excited, right? Like, wow, Caleb Williams deep ball looks great to Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze been playing some pretty good football. I do think this could be a big Rome Odunze game today, right? And the Vikings defense, for as great as it's been, you still worry about the secondary a little bit. Is it going to be Rome Odunze on an island against Stephon Gilmore or Shaq Griffin, right? I mean, Byron Murphy's the Vikings' best corner, but he's mostly a slot guy, and he doesn't really have the size to match up with Odunze. If it's Odunze versus Gilmore, that worries me a little bit, right? I think we could see a few big plays hit to Rome Odunze. I'm going to go with the Bears, man. I think Caleb's playing well. I think their defense is playing well. And I think that this team is still pretty talented. Like, talent-wise, these teams are fairly even. I would say the Vikings are a little bit better. I think they'll split, right? I think play in Minnesota again in a few weeks. Vikings probably get that one. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with this is one of my upsets here. I'm going to go with the Bears. Big Rome Odunze game. Big performance from the defense, right? Obviously, like, you can't stop Justin Jefferson. Like, you just can't, right? If you hold him to like 85 yards, that's a big W. But they've got some guys in the secondary where like they can make it a little bit harder. Like, it just might take them like a half second more to get open, right? Then Montez Sweat gets home or something, you know. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think the Bears are going to pull this one off. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm going to say Bears 23, Vikings 20. We'll go Bears 23, Vikings 20. How about that? But yeah, I hope I'm wrong. It wouldn't be like the end of the world if the Vikings lost this game, right? Like, whatever. You can't win every single game. We're probably not winning the division. Getting the 5 seed would be pretty nice, being able to play the winner of the NFC South, but so it won't like ruin our season or anything. I won't overreact too much if we lost this. If we won this game, if the Vikings find a way to win this game, then it's like, okay, that's nice. I think this has trap game potential. Jack is saying I'm crazy. I know. Jack's been pushing the anti-Bears agendas. I don't know, man. I'm not underestimating this Bears team on the road. I'm really not. Again, I would love to be wrong. If the Vikings go out and win this game, I think that's pretty encouraging. It's like, hey, we survived a trap game here. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, how many times have we seen the Vikings go into Soldier Field and lay an egg? You know, I don't know. But we'll see, man. You could dunk on me if I'm wrong. I would love to be dunked on here. Pearchamp saying Bears just need to continue the run game either with Caleb or Swift. That nearly won the game for the Bears against the Packers. Yeah, that's another thing. They got Caleb like moving on some designed quarterback runs, and that's something that was like also really exciting to see, right? Caleb can run. He's fast. He's a great runner. It was nice to see them lean into that a little bit, not just like, oh, Caleb, like scramble, right? Like get him involved as an active part of the run game. It was encouraging to see, you know, could be a problem. I don't know. The Vikings, not so much this year, but maybe just historically I'm scarred by like the late Zimmer years. Like they've struggled against mobile quarterbacks, but I don't know. I feel like we've got better personnel to handle like quarterback run game this time around. I don't think Caleb's going to go for like 100, but like 3rd and 5, they pull out a little zone read. Caleb gets 7 yards. You know, tough 3rd down conversion. Could happen. Wolf asking if he should start Jettis. No, he stinks, dude. He's so bad. No. If you have Jefferson in fantasy, I envy you. That's awesome. I had him in fantasy a few years ago. It's just so much fun, right? Like, he's on my favorite team, and like he gets a sick 30-yard catch, and I get 40 points. 40 points. Wow. 4 points. Let's go, right? Let's go. Wolf also asking, what's the mock draft looking like, Pigskin? I'm going to have to sit down and get in the lab a little bit. I haven't quite been that tapped in, right? I've been following with a little bit of college football. I'm not going to act like I'm this college football expert or anything. I feel like once the offseason rolls around, then we'll start to get in the mock draft season. And also, I mean, it helps that my team is actually playing well right now, right? I'm not thinking about like, oh, who are the Vikings going to draft just yet. I mean, a little bit. I'd like to see us get a corner or interior defensive line, but you know, mock draft season will come though. I'm excited for that. We'll have some fun draft streams and, you know, some fun draft content Stuff like that. And game solved saying once Flacco's contract is over, end of the season, I say they bring in A-Rod on the bench to mentor Richardson. Also, they've literally brought in every washed quarterback in existence. Rodgers on the Colts would be interesting. Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson partnership. I feel like that could be like a good sitcom, right? Like just a very unlikely pairing. One of the youngest quarterbacks in the league with the old grizzled vet who's like going to be tripping in Egypt or something like that. That could be a fun destination right there. That could have some high potential for comedy. Speaking of Anthony Richardson, let's move to another one of these games. Detroit Lions going on the road to play the team at Dr. Pigskin, the Indianapolis Colts. Jack, you thought I was crazy for the last game. The Detroit Lions are an excellent, excellent football team. Best in the NFL. They are unbelievable. They are awesome. Mile marker, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Because they are not going to win every game for the rest of time. They are not going to go 16-1. Could they go like 15-2, 14-3? Absolutely. They are that good. But they are not just going to win every single game for the rest of time. And I predict, this is my big prediction. This is what I've been waiting to get off my chest. I've thought about it. And you might be laughing. Of course, the doctor is picking this. I've got my reasons. Let's spell this out. But I'm going to say the big upset of the day, the Indianapolis Colts at home with the Indiana Knights alternate uniforms. Anthony Richardson's second game back are going to beat the mighty Detroit Lions in a monumental win for the Colts as they try and keep their playoff push alive. Now, let me spell some things out. Yes, of course I'm picking this, right? The Colts have been the self-proclaimed team of Dr. Pigskin ever since like March. Like I have been on this team since March, right? I've been pushing Colts agendas, like all year long, right? Pushing Colts agendas, been pushing Anthony Richardson agendas all year long, right? Have them in one of my dynasty leagues, right? I was Mr. Why did they bench him? Just wait. He's so close to being good, right? And he goes out and he has a good game last week. And maybe I'm a little bit too excited, just like I was from a small sample size last year. Maybe I'm a little bit too excited. Maybe I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan and a Detroit Lions loss here would serve in my own personal interest and be greatly beneficial to my favorite team. All of these things are true. And yet, I think this is actually a pretty decent matchup, all things considered, for the Colts. I'm going to stick my neck out and swing for the fences. Gun to my head, if I had to say who wins this game, yeah, it's probably the Lions. They are absolutely the better team. But I think the Colts actually match up fairly well against the Lions. So let's talk about it, right? This Lions team is nearly perfect, right? I mean, they are the best, most complete team in the NFL. They have very few obvious weaknesses. There are really two paths to victory against the Lions, right? And it's really, really difficult to do. Offensively, if you're the Colts on offense, how do you take advantage of the Lions, right? This Lions defense runs as much man coverage as anyone in the league, if not leading the league in man coverage. I don't have the stats with me right now, but that's an Aaron Glenn staple, right? They run man coverage. That's what they do. Last year, got them in trouble a lot because they just didn't have a lot of talent in the secondary, right? They were one of the worst pass defenses in the league. They got carved up by good offenses through the air. Most of the time, it didn't matter because they could score just as much, right? This year, secondary is a little bit better, right? They have invested a lot in that, right? Through the draft, they made the trade for Carlton Davis. It has been better. But you can still kind of get yours a little bit. If you've got some firepower in the wide receiver room, right? You can still maybe hit a few explosive plays through the air. I tell you what, this Colts receiver room, right? Josh Downs gassing him up, honestly. Just a beast from the slot. Might seriously be like one of the 20 best receivers in football. Josh Downs is really that good. He's so good, man, right? A.D. Mitchell, good to see him come alive, have a few big plays last week against the Jets, right? Really good separator. Good against man coverage. Can win downfield. Alec Pierce, right? Big, tall, and fast. Good against man coverage. Can win downfield. And then Michael Pittman, had a bit of an up and down year so far. He's been a little inconsistent, but a good receiver, right? These are receivers that are good enough, I think, to give the Lions corners Their secondary, some trouble. Now, Brian Branch is really that guy, and maybe he cleans up some of the messes, right? Absolutely. He's great at that. Same was Kirby Joseph. But if you look at this wide receiver versus corner matchup, the Colts, I think, have the edge. The Colts have the edge. And Richardson's got the arm to push the ball downfield, right? Little inconsistent, obviously. Could be a game where he completes like 48% of his passes, but he looked really good last week, man. Other thing with man coverage. What's the other issue with man coverage, right? All your players that are covering usually have their back turned to the quarterback, right? They're not looking. That leaves you very, very susceptible to scrambles. We have not seen Anthony Richardson scramble all that much, which might be kind of surprising, right? He usually doesn't like to scramble as much as you'd think. He will. He'll do it, right? But he really wants to win from the pocket. If I'm the Colts, I'm telling him, hey, obviously protect yourself. Don't get yourself hurt, but we might need you to run like 12 times today, right? We might need you, if it's 3rd down and 8, to just sprint upfield and get 12 yards. He can do it. We all know he's a great runner, right? Maybe he just runs a lot, right? So offensively for the Colts, if they can get their big plays downfield, if Richardson can run, I think there will be points to be scored for the Colts. And then defensively, and this is maybe the slightly sketchier one, right? Not saying that it's like, oh, it's guaranteed it's going to happen, but how you stop this Lions offense, and it's hard, right? And this is what makes them so good. You have to pressure Goff without blitzing. You have to pressure Goff while rushing 4, right? And this Lions offensive line is really good. Goff is good at getting the ball out quick. But we have seen, if you have a really good defensive line, it can be done. You want to know why Jared Goff threw 5 picks against Houston a few weeks ago, right? Houston had the dudes up front to actually get some pressure on him without blitzing. They could keep those 7 guys in coverage, and like Danielle Hunter and I guess Will Anderson wasn't even playing, but like Danielle Hunter just went crazy, right? D'Amico Ryans had a good game plan, right? This Colts defensive line, now that they're healthy again, right? Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Laiatu Latu, and even Deo Odaye. I'm going to say his name wrong. You know exactly who I'm talking about, right? They've got some dudes. This defensive line has been playing pretty well. You think about their games against Houston. They kicked that offensive line's tail, right? They can get after the quarterback. If there is a team for the rest of this Lions schedule that like has the guys to like get pressure on them rushing for, it might actually be the Colts, right? All that to say, both of those things probably have to happen for the Colts to win this game, right? And you might give that like a 25 to 30% chance that both of those things happen. But if both those things happen, I really do think they've got a shot to win this game. It's in Indy. They're rocking the alternates. Everyone's fired up and excited again after Richardson played well last week. Maybe I am crazy, right? But you know what? Sometimes the NFL is crazy. The Colts win this game. I am staking my claim right now. The Colts win this game. That is my big upset for the week. Colts over Lions. Maybe I get burned. Maybe I'm crazy. But maybe I'm just the right amount of crazy. Maybe I am. You know, that being said, we also have Ben Johnson scheming against Gus Bradley. That could be a problem. Either the Lions could just go out and score 40. But maybe they don't. Give me Colts 30, Lions 24. Colts 30, Lions 24. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm too excited about Richardson. I don't care. I'm sticking my neck out. If I get burned, so be it. I'll do it again next week. Anyways. I had been waiting to talk about that game. I think there's a chance, man. I think there's a chance. Jack thinks I'm crazy. I respect it. I get it. Game solved asking who has a better game, Alec Pierce or Jameson Williams. I kind of like Alec Pierce today. I really do. Jameson Williams obviously could be in line too. It's not like this Colts secondary is crazy, but they've been playing better than expected, right? Even after like Juju Brents went down, which I thought, oh, that's bad news for them. And Jameson Williams is another guy, like very volatile. It could be more of like a Laporta or even like a Jahmyr Gibbs receiving type of game, right? But I don't know. Couldn't you see Alec Pierce getting like a 75-yard touchdown today that just completely flips this game on its head? I think it's possible. Richardson and Alec Pierce have a pretty good connection. Richardson had a beautiful throw to Alec Pierce on that game-winning drive last week. They seem to be, they'll hit a few big plays every week, it seems like. I kind of like Alec Pierce today. I do. Wolf saying he started a 2012 Browns rebuild and was forced to sign Kurt Warner because Colt McCoy was a 59 overall, ended up getting RG3 in the offseason and sitting him for his rookie year. That's sick. On Madden, I'm assuming, right? A Browns rebuild? That is pretty sick. Man, I'll get to my my Madden 12 universe building thing that I'm going to be doing that I've been teasing for like almost a year at this point. But, man, all right, how do we top that? We've got the Patriots and the Dolphins. This is a game that's kind of interesting now all of a sudden, right? Talked about last week. Miami, kind of in the playoff race, right? Someone's got to get that 7 seed. Colts are a team that could get it. The Broncos currently have it. They are certainly probably the favorites to get it. The Dolphins are hanging around a little bit though, right? Big win against the Raiders last week. Offense is looking pretty good with Tua back there. Defense has got some talented players. They're playing pretty well right now, right? Anthony Weaver, their defensive coordinator, is doing a great job. You know, the Dolphins, they heard me, right? I was doubting them all off season. Look at the Dolphins picking themselves up off the mat after being punched in the mouth early in the year, right? I mean, it looked over for them. Looked like they were going to get a top 3 pick. Here they go. They've got a fairly interesting schedule the rest of the way, right? They got the Patriots, then they got the Packers on Thanksgiving. All of a sudden, a huge game. Then the Jets, Texans, 49ers, Browns, and Jets. They're going to have to play some near flawless football down the stretch if they want to sneak in, but it is not impossible. But they got to take care of business against this Patriots team who has become infinitely more entertaining ever since switching the quarterback, right? I can't lie, Mr. Jacoby Brissett, whatever. Obviously, Brissett has never been a dude, whatever. Anyways, Drake May, man, he looks like the truth every week. I'm just so impressed by the things that he does, right? And it's not always perfect. Yeah, he has turned the ball over a little bit, right? But again, you have to consider the context of what he's playing in. Bad offensive line, bad wide receivers, questionable offensive scheme, right? Man, Drake May looks pretty darn good right now. He is ripping the football, right? He looks a little Justin Herbert-y out there, right? I think that's a great comp for him. He is playing some excellent ball. Could he take over this game and win it? Is possible, right? Wolf is hinting at maybe a Drake May legacy game. I like that call right there. I really do. Saying that the Dolphins will be in the playoffs like the Broncos last season, play in the playoff race, but won't make it. Yeah, I could see that, right? I think I will go Miami. I mean, I just think that they're starting to hit their stride right now offensively. This Patriots defense is fine. Maybe not quite as good as I was hoping it was going to be going into the year, right? And they've dealt with injuries. I will say, fun matchup in this game. Christian Gonzalez versus Tyreek Hill. That was the matchup last year. We saw it on Sunday Night Football. I believe it was week 2 last season, right? Before Christian Gonzalez got hurt, he kind of locked up Tyreek Hill. He had a great game against him. It was like, dang, the Rook taking Tyreek's lunch money. So that will be a fun matchup to revisit this time around, right? And honestly, what I think has been most impressive about what the Dolphins are doing offensively, it hasn't necessarily been like, oh, Tyreek Hill is back to getting 200 yards every game, right? It's been just pretty consistent, pretty on schedule. It hasn't been super reliant on big plays. Tua's got the timing down. The running game has been looking pretty good right now, right? It's still a lot of the staple McDaniel stuff that we've seen throughout the years. But right now, man, it's working, right? And there's maybe some concern earlier in the year, teams are starting to figure out Mike McDaniel. Maybe not quite yet. So, I could see May giving him some trouble, and he's another guy. May might run a lot today, right? We've been seeing him take off and run a lot. I've been putting a lot of money on Drake May rushing yards because it's just I think that it could be easy to underestimate how athletic he is, but I don't know, man. This Dolphins defense is pretty good. Their front is pretty good. Calais Campbell's still playing pretty good right now. I struggle to trust his Patriots offensive line to hold up, and maybe that causes a May turnover or two. But if the Patriots do win, that would be a Drake May legacy performance, right? I mean, it's it would have to be dang, he's creating, he's running around, he's hitting some crazy throws on the run within the range of outcomes for him. I don't think it happens today, though. I'll go Miami 27, Patriots 17. How about that? I like this Dolphins defense a decent amount. They've got some good players, and they're pretty well coached. They made a good hire with Anthony Weaver, taking him away from Baltimore. Some of these games will speed through a little bit more than others, right? And again, some of these games aren't quite as interesting, but like these two might be interesting. This one could be fun. I'll have my eye on it, but this will probably be the laptop game for me, right? I'll have the Vikings on the big screen. This game will be on my laptop. This will be the second screen. Excuse me. My goodness. Been yapping a lot. Oh boy, Buccaneers Giants with Tommy DeVito. I can't believe we're seeing Tommy DeVito again. I really thought that was going to be a one-time thing, like a few years now. Remember Tommy DeVito? Yeah, he played like 3 games. We're getting more Tommy DeVito. Yay. And also, first game for the Giants without Daniel Jones on the roster in like a hot minute, right? I mean, that's kind of crazy too. But Wolf saying Jacoby Brissett had more 300-yard games as a Cleveland Brown than Deshaun Watson, by the way. Oh, I believe it. He was good for the Browns. And I think that's maybe like that 11-game stretch is what got me into like, yeah, Jacoby Brissett, he's not that bad, right? But like, he played some good football on the Browns. And even when he got in with the Commanders a little bit last year, he didn't play much, but it's like, hey, he's not bad. Here's what I'll say. My Brissett take is I think he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the league. And like, he's good enough to be a starter, but he's not like, yo, we've got something here. You know, I think that's fair. But he was someone I wanted the Vikings to get. Like, honestly, I think if the Vikings had Brissett instead of Darnold right now, not a whole lot would have changed. Like, I think they'd be in a similar spot. Offense would be performing similarly. Oh, that would have been fun. But I love me some slinging Sam. Sam gives us some wackiness that Brissett might not. You know. Pear Champ saying the Dolphins would have definitely made the playoffs if Tua never got hurt. I think that's fair to say at this point. I really do. Like, man, like they lost to the Titans, you know? Like they would not have lost to the Titans. Yeah, that was the Tyler Huntley game. Yeah, you're probably right. I would probably have to agree with you. Yeah. I like that hot take, Wolf. Drake May going to be a top 5 quarterback going into next year. It's very spicy, and it's a very tough club to break into. He does look like a superstar, though. Like, I think the Patriots have just absolutely hit it out of the park. Like, they have got something with him, man. They got a steal at 3rd overall. That's kind of crazy. He's looking pretty good, man. Parachamp asking, how would I rank the first-round quarterbacks this year so far? Well, I'm going to put McCarthy last by default, right? Just because, like, he hasn't played. Number 1, I'm not going to lie. And I was actually about to say this. I'm a little tempted to put May at 1. I don't know, dude. Like, he has looked so good. I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to say Drake May has honestly impressed me the most. I'll say Drake May 1. I'll go Jaden Daniels 2. Oh, you know what? No. Penix will be last, simply on the basis of not only is he not playing, but it's just a silly pick. Penix 6th, McCarthy 5th, will go May 1, Daniels 2. Bo Nix and Caleb Williams is the fascinating one because Bo Nix has certainly outperformed expectations and Caleb has underperformed expectations a little bit. I still think Caleb's the better quarterback. I do, and maybe this is an interesting conversation for another day. I like Bo Nix enough, and we'll talk more about Bo Nix when we get the Broncos Raiders, right? What they're doing with him is working. That's what I'll say. And that's going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but I don't think the Broncos would really care, right? Like, again, yards are yards. Who cares if it's like Sean Payton designer stuff and like Sean Payton and this offensive line is making life as easy as possible for him, right? Like, if you want to evaluate who's the better player, then yeah, those are valid points to bring up. But it's not like the Broncos are like, no, like Bo Nix needs to earn it. He needs to ascend Dr. Pigskin's quarterback power rankings, right? Like, that's not why they're playing the game. I will say I still think Caleb's a better player. I'll put Caleb at 3 and Bo Nix at 4. So we'll go May 1, Daniels 2, Caleb 3, Bo Nix 4, and then the 2 guys that haven't played. I am a non-believer a little bit, and I know I feel a little mean, right? Like, I've been so harsh about him the whole year. It's like, actually, I still don't think he's that good. Like, I don't know, man. Here's what I'll say. The Broncos have a tough stretch coming up in their schedule, and if they can get into the playoffs, they'll have earned it. They'll have earned it, that's for sure. And I'm willing to eat crow about Daniels, too. Like, he's also far outperformed what I thought he would do. So, Wolf saying, I'm telling y'all, Jacoby Brissett is an important piece. He can give you good enough football for you to not be out of the game, but bad enough to lose games and tank while mentoring. He is perfect. The ultimate tank commander. Let's go. We got Gabe in here. Welcome to the stream, Gabe. Good to have you in here. Saying Bo Nix and Bryce Underwood #1. Hey, Michigan made the call, right? How about Michigan getting a big-time quarterback? Hey, looking pretty good for Michigan now after getting that. You know, the haters will say, NIL this and that. That's just the nature of the game at this point, right? I mean, and also, can you blame them from going away from Brian Kelly's LSU? It's not like they're a very buttoned up operation right now. So, hey, there you go, right? He's from Michigan too, right? So there's that aspect of it. But how about that? How about that, huh? We're actually just about to talk about the Buccaneers, which is crazy. I've been beating around the bush like crazy. I went off on a Bo Nix tangent. Poor Bo Nix catching a stray when I'm talking about Bucks versus Giants. We'll load in this game here as we catch up with chat. Wolf thought the Commanders are stupid for starting Jaden Daniels and the Broncos for starting Bo Nix. No, I was right there with you. And again, like, regardless of what we might think of these players overall or how easy or hard their life is, the fact of the matter is both those teams have winning records. After picking in the top half of the draft last year, both those teams are like in position to make the playoffs after not making it last year, right? That's what really matters. We got Sebastian in here too. Welcome to the stream, Sebastian. Good to have you in here. Saying, what if they are concerned about my power rankings? Could you imagine, right? Sean Payton's like, hey, we need to increase Bo Nix's average depth of target so that Dr. Pigskin could put some more respect on his name. We need to stop getting yards off of manufactured looks and screens, and we got to throw over the middle of the field so that Dr. Pigskin respects us. That would be awesome. Thank you for the super chat, Gabe. Appreciate the love as always. Gonna give this a little heart right here saying, who are my top 5 picks in the upcoming NFL draft? You know what? You did the super chat, so now I gotta talk about it, right? I'm gonna say right now 5 names that I really like. You're gonna like this. I'm gonna say 2 Michigan guys. We'll say Will Johnson and Mason Graham, right? The corner and defensive tackle out of Michigan. Yeah, feel pretty good about both those guys. You know, going into the year, it's like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy if the Vikings won 7 games and had the 8th overall pick and somehow managed to get one of those? That ain't happening. But I'm going to say those 2. I'm going to say Travis Hunter for sure. He might go first overall. I mean, just a ridiculous player. And it's kind of driving me insane how, like, there's this popular narrative on Twitter now. It's like, well, it's just like he just plays more snaps. That's not enough for him to get the Heisman. It's like, nah, like, you're just being dense at this point. It's not just that he's playing a lot of snaps, right? This is not a Taysom Hill situation. Like, he's legitimately elite on both sides of the ball, right? You know. People are just being dense for various reasons. But so I'll say Travis Hunter. I know there's some good edges in this class, right? Like James Pierce, that one Penn State guy. Shoot, dude. Some good offensive linemen, right? The guy from Texas, both the LSU tackles. I know Will Campbell and Emory Jones are guys that have been getting a lot of love. I'm going to say no quarterbacks, though, for sure. Like, this is just not a very strong quarterback class. I know Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward might just get picked high just simply on the fact that they are quarterbacks and there are quarterback needy teams out there. But I personally, like, I would not consider them like amongst the 5 best prospects in this class. So we'll say Travis Hunter, we'll say Will Johnson, we'll say Mason Graham, we'll say Will Campbell and James Pierce. I don't know how valid of a take that is right now. I'll need to like dive in a little bit more. And I have a Caddy's Cut Up subscription. I totally could like go out there and watch the tape on some of these guys, but that'll be an off-season project for me. But that's what I'll say. Yo, Jack with the super chat. Let's go. Welcome to the stream, Jack. Good to have you in here. Appreciate the super chat as always. Saying I can do that too. Top 5 favorite Seahawks players. Well, shoot, I'm liking this trend a little bit selfishly. All right, top 5 favorite Seahawks players of all time. All right, Marshawn Lynch, easy, right? You know, it's funny, the Legion of Boom Seahawks, right? You think of like the defense first, but I ultimately think the guy that embodied those Seahawks teams more than anyone else was Marshawn Lynch, right? The quiet swagger, the Skittles on the sideline, the visor, like the way he'd clip his gloves to his face mask when warming up, just crazy aura, right? I loved Marshawn Lynch. They don't make too many backs like him anymore. Just a violent, angry runner, set the tone, right? Trying to tackle Marshawn Lynch in December in Seattle, just one of the hardest things you can possibly do. So we'll say Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to put Richard Sherman in there too. I love the talking, right? I love the trash talking. Very smart player. Should be a Hall of Famer, no doubt. Part of me wants to put Earl Thomas too, just like put all the LOB guys, but that's a little bit lazy. How about Doug Baldwin, right? He is a feisty slot receiver. We'll get Doug Baldwin in there at 3. He was kind of fun, right? He had some interesting celebrations. Always had some words to say. Oh, here's a crazy one. Here's a crazy one. But unironically, he probably does make my top 5 favorite Seahawks, and he's still doing his thing. He's honestly having one of the best seasons of his career, not with Seattle right now. But Poona Ford. Poona Ford was an OG Dr. Pigskin favorite back before this was even like a YouTube channel, when I just had my burner Twitter or whatever you want to call it. Poona Ford was the guy right there, and he's having a good year with the Chargers. Like, he's unironically been like a beast for them. So we'll put Poona Ford in there. And we'll put Geno. I love Geno so much. I love the way he plays the game, right? I love the style of quarterback he is. I love his story, right? And you know what? Geno Smith was the quarterback of that Seahawks team. Everyone was like, oh, they're going to be so bad. They're going to get the first overall pick. And I was like, I don't know, guys. I could see them being kind of sneaky. I could see them being kind of sneaky good. And then they made the playoffs. So we'll round it out with Geno. But yeah, Poona Ford is like if you ask like my Georgia friend group, like if you'd associate one Seahawks player with me, it would be Poona Ford. Actually, good old Poona Ford. Yeah, he is a sleeper stuff. Dude, like, he's been like a beast for the Chargers this year. He's been so good for them. He had an interception week 1, and he's just a monster against the run. No Bobby Wagner mentioned. That would have been a good one too, right? I mean, I could have spent this whole time talking about like every single Seahawks defender, right? Give some Clinton McDonald love, right? Like, you could really dig in deep, right? Jeremy Lane, stuff like that. But Bobby Wagner is good too, and a beast in Madden. Loved using Bobby Wagner in Madden. But appreciate the super chats, guys. Wolf saying, do I think Deion Sanders will make sure Shadir goes somewhere else other than a poverty franchise? He'll try. Good luck. Good luck. He'll try, but good luck. All right, here we go. Finally. Buccaneers versus Giants. It's Tommy DeVito. The Jersey kid done good. I don't know that the Jersey kid is going to done good here today. I know this Buccaneers defense has been on a bit of a downslide, right? Todd Bowles has maybe lost his fastball a little bit. This Bucs team is not that bad. They've played in so many close games, right? I like the comparison that has been made this week on Mina and Brett's podcast, right? They're like kind of like the Bengals, and like their offense is really good, and they've played so many of these good teams so closely, and they're just coming up short. And there still is maybe a slight crack of a door open in this playoff race. They'd probably have to win the division to get into the playoffs, and it's going to be tough because Atlanta did sweep them on the season, right? But like, I'm looking at their schedule right now, right? 10-point loss to the Ravens, right? 1-score loss to the Falcons, 1-score loss to the Chiefs in overtime, 1-score loss to the 49ers. And they've got plenty of winnable games coming up, right? They're going to need to get this one, right? But they got Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, big one right there. Then Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. Lot of winnable games. Mike Evans, I think he's back today, right? I mean, some of the guys are starting to come back. Baker's been playing really well. Liam Cohen has been just unbelievable at offensive coordinator. The run game is looking pretty good. Offensive line is much improved. I am certainly going to take the Bucs to win this game. The thing to watch is going to be, how does this new look, young offensive line, how are they going to be holding up here against this big, bad Giants defensive line, right? I mean, I'm going to pull up the Bucs offensive line right now. Tristan Wirfs is doubtful, which means more Justin Schooley time, or School, however you say his name, right? He's the guy that got torched by Aiden Hutchinson, gave up 5.5 sacks to him. Now he's going to be going up against Brian Burns. All right, that's a little scary. Can't lie, right? That's a little scary. And then a lot of the new guys on the interior, a lot of the young guys, right? Like Graham Barton, meet Dexter Lawrence. Have fun, right? Cody Mauk, like, you're going to have to help out, dude. Like, we need a lot of bodies on Dexter Lawrence, which might mean a lot of one-on-ones for Burns against the backup left tackle. Could be a problem. Could wreck the game. I don't know, though. Like, It's just hard for me to believe that this Giants team, I mean, they look pretty defeated, right? Tommy DeVito is not better than Daniel Jones by any stretch of the imagination. I know Daniel Jones hasn't been good, but like, come on, who are we kidding ourselves here? And I know this Buccaneers defense hasn't been great, but Mike Evans is questionable. He should be back though, right? It's hard to not pick the Bucs in this spot. And if they win this one and start to get a little bit healthier, right? Tristan Wirfs might be back soon enough. It's on the table. It's on the table. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard, but it is on the table. But they got to win this one, and they got to take care of Dexter Lawrence. If Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns are just playing out of their minds, things might get a little hairy. This is why you invested all this in the offensive line, right? To try and win a game like this, because honestly, like, that is the one Giants path to victory right there. But I'm going to say Bucs. I'll say Bucs 24, Giants 19. Weird score. I don't know. We'll say Bucs by 5. Giants cover, I guess. Tampa 6-point road favorites. Wow. But we'll go with the Bucs. We'll go with the Bucs. Cowboys, Commanders. Oh, the Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys. What a disaster they've been this year. Mike McCarthy's a goner, bro. Mike McCarthy is a goner. We got Silly in here. Welcome to the stream, Silly. Good to have you in here. Saying Georgia clinched the SEC championship berth. They did. They really did. Kind of hard to believe, right? All the wackiness that happened in the SEC last night. All the wackiness with Georgia's season. And yet here we are back in the SEC championship again. Kind of crazy how that works. We're inevitable. You know, Daniel Jones to the Ravens would be really weird. Yeah, I saw the reports this morning. It might be the Ravens or the Vikings, and he wants to go to a playoff contender. And no disrespect to Daniel Jones, I think it's an amusing visual seeing Daniel Jones like pound his fist on the table and be like, no, I need to play for a serious organization. And honestly, a lot of it has less to do with like the caliber of player he is and more just like he seems like such a dorky, even keel kind of guy. He's like, no, get me to a real team. You know, I've had it with these Giants bums, you know. And I like how he's like, get me to a real team, like the Vikings. It's like, okay, now we're talking. Maybe I do respect you. Maybe I do respect Daniel Jones. It's kind of nice, right? He wants to go to a real contender, like the Vikings, and that like not be a joke. It's like, oh, okay, let's go. Thank you, Adam Schefter. Let's go. Jack is going to the SEC championship. That's sick. Let's go. That should be a fun game, right? It's the winner of A&M versus Texas next week. Oh, that's going to be a banger of a game. I don't watch a lot of college football. Might have to watch that one, man. I might have to watch that one. In College Station. Yeah, that game is going to be crazy. That game is going to be crazy. Should be a fun one. This one might not be as fun. I said that some of the underdogs might come out barking today. I don't know about the Cowboys, man. I will say the Commanders, right? We're starting to get on Cliff Kingsbury decline watch a little bit, right? That seems to be a thing that he likes to do. It's well documented at this point, right? Like the defenses, or Cliff Kingsbury's offenses seem to slide down a little bit as the weather gets colder, as defenses start to get more adapted to his scheme, right? And that is kind of the downside a little bit, right? Like Cliff Kingsbury, all things considered, does run a fairly simple offense. It's just a short handful of concepts that they run over and over and over again. You know, year goes on, teams start to sit on that a little bit more. All of a sudden, Terry McLaurin isn't getting wide open because teams know like, oh, this is what they're going to do with him, right? They're going to just sit on that, right? Like, and you look, like, even though they've scored, like, some points in, like, some of these games, right? Like, okay, the Giants game, they got 27. The Steelers game, they got 27. But a lot of that is, like, circumstantial. I don't want to be too nitpicky, but it's like, oh, they got good field position off a failed fake punt and stuff like that, right? And then they looked pretty flat against the Eagles. I will say, if they struggle on offense against this Cowboys defense today, that's a little concerning. That would be, and you might start to sound the alarm bells of like, ruh-roh, like what if we have a Jaguars type situation, right? I do think, I'm looking at their schedule, it's a little too light the rest of the way. Like they should make the playoffs, but I do think that like the Commanders hype has died down a lot, right? And they're maybe a candidate for regression from the start, right? First 4 weeks of the season, you look at some of those nerdy spreadsheets and charts, right? It's like, wow, they're one of the most efficient offenses ever. Yeah, that's probably not going to hold up, right? Wow, they're like the greatest team on 3rd and long ever. Yeah, that's probably not going to hold up, right? Wow, Jaden Daniels is completing like 85% of his passes. That's not going to hold up, right? I mean, not to be the fun police a little bit. You know, they still have greatly outperformed expectations. But it's not like this is some unstoppable juggernaut. The defense is coming back down to earth a little bit too. However, Cowboys with no Dak Prescott, pretty good get-right game right here, right? I mean, the Cowboys defense is pretty bad. They should be able to run the ball. I could see a lot of Brian Robinson here today, right? Like, that seems to be working for them pretty well. Robinson and Austin Eckler have been a good backfield duo. And, I mean, this Cowboys defense might be the worst in the NFL against the run. I will say Micah Parsons has been back, and he's been doing his thing, right? The pass rush has been a little bit better. You worry about the Commanders' offensive line, maybe just a little bit, right? Micah Parsons versus these tackles could be a bit of a problem, right? If the Cowboys are going to pull off the upset, it might have to be like a Micah Parsons 4-sack game. I don't know that it happens. The Commanders get the ball out too quick. They can just run it, right? If Micah starts taking over, they can just run it. They should be able to run it down their throats. I could see the Commanders rushing for like 175 yards as a team here today between their backs and Daniels. I mean, you want to talk about a team that's starting to look like they're ready to roll over and die. That's the Cowboys. I mean, the Texans were even like begging them to be in that game on Monday night last week, right? But, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to say Commanders win this one. We'll say the Commanders put up some points in this one. We'll say Commanders 28, Cowboys 20. A comfortable 8-point win for the Commanders here. If they do lose this game, though, then you start to get a little worried. But I'm not quite there yet. All right, we're zooming through the 1 o'clock window right here. Got 2 games left in the 1 o'clock window, then a fun 4 o'clock window, and we'll hit the Sunday night game, too. Silly saying, I thought the Giants were at least a playoff contender team since their win against the Vikings. Oh, man. Oh, I remember that game. That game scarred me. But we lost the battle but won the war, absolutely. You look at the trajectory of those two franchises since that playoff game. Thank you, Ed Donatel. Ed Donatel saved the Vikings by being bad. Man, anyways. Aggies coming for the Dogs. We'll see. Jack saying, in the offseason, if a team offers Dallas 3 firsts for Micah, do they take it? I think you'd flirt with it, right? I mean, from a business standpoint, and we know Jerry thinks about this, right? It would be tough to get rid of Micah because he grew up a Cowboys fan, right? And he wanted to be a Cowboy, and that was a good pick for Jerry. And he's like their best player, and everyone loves him. And if they did, it'd be tough to move on from him after paying Dak, right? You pay Dak, you pay CD, but all of a sudden you're going to trade Micah Parsons. Doesn't seem like it makes the most sense from a philosophical standpoint, right? Are you all in or not, right? I will say, though, maybe you do flirt with cutting your losses because this team just doesn't have a lot of depth whatsoever. They've got so much money tied up into, it would be 3 players if they paid Micah. 3 really good players, might I add, and understandable, but also you've got a lame duck coach who's probably going to get fired. I think it depends on the team. 3 first-rounders is a lot. You'd certainly think about it, but I think that would be tough. It would be tough to actually do, And I'm not even saying they shouldn't have paid Dak. We know I love Dak Prescott, right? But man, they're just in such a weird spot, dude. They've got some great high-end talent, but the depth is really lacking, and now they've got so much money tied up. They need to have insane drafts, right? They need to find good players in the 4th round, and they haven't really had the capability of doing that very consistently. They'll occasionally find a nice player in the draft, and they'll find 1 or 2 every year. It's oh, maybe Jerry's kind of a good drafter, but I don't know. They're not consistent enough, and I just don't trust him, right? Sleepy Jerry is a thing. Sleepy Jerry is at the wheel right now, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Pearchamp saw that Jameson Williams got fined for the Marshawn Lynch touchdown celebration. Boo, that's lame. Let him have fun. Whatever. He grabbed his groin a little bit. I'm not offended. I'm not hurt. I don't care. Let him have fun. All right. Chiefs versus Panthers. This has been the popular trendy upset pick, right? You might see the Bryce Young Hope Core edits on Twitter or TikTok, right? Oh, this is going to be the funniest thing ever. The Panthers have the chance to do the funniest thing ever, right? And maybe the Chiefs losing last week took that away because it's what if the Panthers gave the Chiefs their first loss? That would be insane, right? So now I feel maybe some of the upset hype has died down a little bit. But I have seen some people picking a Panthers upset here. It is in Carolina. 10.5 point spread. That's pretty big. That's maybe bigger than I would set the line. I might set it at like 7, right? Obviously, the Chiefs are very good, but just the way they're built, every game is going to be close because they're very slow on offense, right? I still think Mahomes is playing well. The run game is ugly, but somehow still efficient. The defense is still pretty good. I will say, though, we're starting to see some cracks in the defense. CB2, kind of a problem, right? Like without Jalen Watson, all of a sudden their depth behind Trent McDuffie at corner, kind of tough. We saw that rear its ugly head last week. Depth outside of Chris Jones up front, not very strong. Chris Jones is playing a lot of snaps at edge on third down because like George Karlaftis, a guy that I really liked, who I thought was going to take a big leap this year, hasn't. Kind of regressed a little bit, if anything. Hasn't been playing that great, right? They did bring in Josh Uche as like a rotational pass rusher, stuff like that, but their defense is good, and I think it'll be fine if they can get a little bit healthier. It's not as good as last year, though. It is not quite as good as last year. So there's a few cracks there, right? And then obviously, I mean, what else even needs to be said about the Chiefs offense? Yeah, everything that's said can be said, you know. Panthers offense kind of playing a little bit better. Bryce Young kind of looking good a little bit. The run game with Chuba Hubbard is working, and if you were here for the fantasy hotline portion of the show, I said maybe Hubbard's not the worst play in the world for fantasy this week, right? The Chiefs aren't amazing against the run. They're not necessarily bad against it, but again, they're just like a little bit thinner right now. They're not quite as deep, and, you know, if the Panthers can keep this game close and they can pound it with Chuba like 25 times, maybe things get a little bit interesting. I gave Leggett some love last week. How about Jalen Coker? He's been a great find for them too at wide receiver, right? And I think all things considered, Canales has rebounded really well. Like the offense is looking a lot better. Bryce Young is playing a lot better. This defense is pretty bad, though. This defense is pretty bad. This could be a game where the Chiefs actually like finally score 30 or something like that. And it might not be like Mahomes 400 yards, but it could be like Mahomes 250, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and then like Kareem Hunt gets 2 rushing touchdowns or something, right? This could be a game, even if it's not like dominant or explosive, where it's like, okay, the Chiefs scored 30, right? They're mad, right? They lost last week. You know they're ticked off, right? It's hard to pick against Kansas City. I'll say Chiefs 30, Panthers 20. How about that? I said I'd set the line at 7. Then I picked them to pretty much fit the line. Whatever. Maybe ignore that, but yeah, this game could be like close for a half, but I think the Chiefs will win. I don't know. It would be pretty funny if the Panthers won. I'll believe it when I see it, though. I'll believe it when I see it. All right. We got a few more games left here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's talk about the last 1 o'clock game. We've got the Titans and the Texans. Titans and Texans. Texans. I mean, I've made my Texans take very clear at this point, right? I don't want to call them frauds because maybe that's a bit harsh. They're not quite a tier 1 team. You know, I don't think they're quite a tier 1 team. I mean, that offensive line is pretty bad. I don't even think it's on Stroud. Like, oh, Stroud's having a sophomore slump. I don't know. Stroud's still a very good player. They've just been without Nico Collins, and even last week maybe it wasn't 100%, and that offensive line is terrible. And Slowick is just loving to run the ball, right? Oh, man. They run the ball a lot, and then they get behind the chains, and it's 3rd and 7. Save us, CJ Stroud. And he will sometimes, but also that's what's led to like maybe a few more turnovers, stuff like that, you know. But the pass rush is really good. The Titans' offensive line is not very good, right? This could be like a Danielle Hunter crazy game right here that like gets him like in the sack leaderboard conversation a little bit, right? I don't know if Will Anderson Jr. is going to be back yet for the Texans. I know he's been out a little bit. It shows him healthy. So yeah, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter back, right? That is probably the biggest strength of this Texans team right now is their pass rush. They've got 2 fantastic edge rushers. D'Amico Ryans, all things considered, is still a very good defensive coach. He does a great job like scheming up stunts and stuff like that, giving his top guys like good looks. It's not just like coasting on talent. Like they're making life easy for Will Anderson and for Danielle Hunter. And I mean, I watched the Titans play football last week, right? They played the Vikings. And I like this Vikings pass rush enough, right? I honestly think that their struggles getting pressure have more to do with a lack of push on the interior and a lack of need to double team guys on the interior than like, oh, Van Ginkel and Grenard actually aren't that good, right? But Van Ginkel and Grenard like kind of destroyed the Titans tackles last week, and Will Levis, he's good for a few wacky turnovers and stuff. I don't see the Titans scoring more than like 17 points in this game. I really don't. This could be like Will Levis goes down and gets sacked 5 times today. I mean, even if I worry a little bit about how strong this Titans defensive front is with their big defensive interior, and they've got some guys that can come off the edge, right? Do love me some Harold Landry. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think the Texans will hit enough explosive plays. Maybe Nico Collins is back to 100% this week. Stroud will look pretty good, but really the pass rush should be able to take Houston home here. I don't think they'll get upset. I thought about it for a minute. I was like, maybe the Titans defense causes some problems because they have been playing well, but I don't know. I just can't see Tennessee scoring a whole lot in this one. I'll say Texans 27, Titans 17. How about that? 27-17. Texans get a big win and set themselves up really well to win this division, right? And for all the doom and gloom, like they're 7-4, like they still have a great record, like they will certainly make the playoffs. They will have a home playoff game. And if they can like get hot, they will be a tough out. So Silly asking the thoughts on the Mahomes overrated narrative. Absolutely not. And I'm with you, Jack, right? 3-time Super Bowl champ, enough said. Wide receiver play has been questionable the past 2 years. And again, like, not to plug my own content, but that video, right? How one quarter changed the entire NFL. I don't think that's what it was called. How one quarter caused the NFL scoring decline, right? Mahomes, not to worship him too much, right? But like it really got to the point where Mahomes and this Chiefs offense was so good, it led an entire league-wide shift in how defenses played, and especially against the Chiefs, right? It's not that the Chiefs want to throw like 3 yards downfield every play, right? But like that is what teams are forcing them to do. They've just gotten really good at it, right? Mahomes completely remade his game. It's not as fun or flashy, but he's like insane from the pocket. I mean, he plays like Alex Smith now, which is kind of ironic, right? Because he was the guy that he replaced, and he's such a good runner. I don't know. Mahomes for me is still QB1 until proven otherwise. I know Lamar's been great this year. I know Josh has been great this year, right? I don't know, man. Come January, when it's time for the Chiefs to lock in, I think he's still got some very, very high-level football in him, and he's still been playing good this year. Like that Bills game last week, you know what? Yeah, he did have 2 interceptions. He also had some crazy throws in that game. He had some crazy third down conversions. He had a nice throw in the red zone for a touchdown, right? Like he's just so accurate, right? I still think he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. Lamar has been so good this year. Josh has been so good this year. I don't know, man. I'm still taking Mahomes until proven otherwise. I mean, we did this last year too, right? Oh, where'd the passing yards go? Oh, there they are. Wow, he was awesome in the playoffs. We'll see. But it'll be interesting. I don't think the Chiefs will cakewalk to the Super Bowl again this year. A few weeks ago, even, I was gassing them up on Twitter, and I was like, oh, they're still elite. It's like, they are. Maybe they won't go 16-1. Maybe they'll go 14-3 too, but. Let's talk about Broncos versus Raiders. A little bit of a Rookie of the Year bowl right here, right? Bo Nix, Brock Bowers, 2 guys in very good position to win Rookie of the Year. But set that up a little bit. Let's get to Pair Champs question. Do you think the Texans could complete the cycle and lose out the division like the Titans in 2022 and the Jags in 2023? I don't think so, man. I don't know. That would be pretty crazy, right? I mean, then next year it'd be the Colts' turn to do it. I don't think so, man. I think sweeping Indy for them was such a big deal, right? Both those games are close. I will say, if Indy could have won one of those, I would have given it a lot higher of a possibility. But I just think they beat them week 1 and then they beat them week 8 or whatever, right? Sweeping them on the season was such a big deal. Every other team in the division kind of has a poor in-division record where Houston is cleaned up against the division. They've given themselves enough cushion. And I mean, Nico Collins is back now. So in theory, their offense should be a little bit better. I'm still rolling with Houston personally, but it's at least on my radar slightly, again, as a big Colts agenda pusher, but I don't think it's going to happen. That would be crazy though. I would act a fool if that happens. No disrespect to the Texans. I like the Texans, but I would act a fool if that happened. This could be a Brock Bowers Offensive Rookie of the Year legacy game. Honestly, he's my pick right now. I think he's by far been the best offensive rookie in the NFL this year. You could argue he's the best tight end in the NFL. He's insane. He's top 10 in all these receiving categories, not just for tight end, not just for rookie. Just as a receiver, he has been an insane weapon on an otherwise forgettable Raiders team, right? They get rid of Devontae Adams. Their quarterback situation hasn't been that great. And yet here's Brock Bowers going out here having a big game every week, right? He's got a good matchup this week against Denver, right? What kind of treatment are they going to give him, right? How are they going to try and take him away? Because he is definitely the guy to worry about. I mean, this Broncos defense has been balling, right? They shut down the Falcons last week, right? Great play on the defensive side of the football. And the offense is really starting to come together. Sean Payton, deep in his bag as a play caller. You know, again, it's so funny. I find myself defending Sean Payton a lot. I've never been like, you know, as a Vikings fan, I've got my reasons for maybe not loving Sean Payton. But to me, this whole narrative that like, oh, he was never that good of a coach and Drew Brees just carried him, I've always found that crazy, right? And you look at it, how the Saints offense performed, like when they had Jameis before he got hurt, and how they performed with even Taysom Hill at quarterback and Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. It's like, nah, like Sean was cooking in his own right? He was making it work even without Brees. Goes to Denver, takes over a team that was one of the worst in the NFL with Nathaniel Hackett, has him in the playoff race, flirting with the playoffs year one. Year two, here they are in a playoff spot, right? Still not like a lot of talent on this offense. Like you look at the receiver room and it's like Cortland Sutton, Devon Vele, Lil Jordan Humphrey, right? Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. And it's not like any of these guys are like terrible players. Like, okay, like Devon Vele has been pretty underrated this year, but they don't have like a crazy wide receiver one or anything, right? They don't have a crazy backfield. What they do have is a crazy offensive line. Their offensive line has been sick this year. Bo Nix has had like some of the cleanest pockets in the entire NFL. You look at like pressure rate, stuff like that. He's one of the least pressured quarterbacks in the NFL. The running game is starting to get going with Audric Estime a little bit. And again, like, I don't want to be like a Bo Nix hater, but their offense, a lot of it is, wow, Sean Payton just drew up this crazy screen, right? Wow, like they're protecting so well, right? But it has been working, right? It absolutely has been working. And I think it's going to work again here today against this Raiders defense. It's been a little underwhelming. I was hyping them up coming into the year a little bit. I don't know, man. I mean, there's only so much Max Crosby can do, right? I mean, there's a lot of mismatches in this secondary. I'm looking right now. They've got two of their starting corners out, and Jack Jones is questionable. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Denver, this could be another big Broncos game. I think Denver will win 31-17. Brock Bowers will get some nice numbers and make for an interesting Rookie of the Year conversation. And I'll give Bo Nix some credit too. Like he did honestly make some great plays last week. He had some nice throws against the Falcons. He's getting a little more comfortable under pressure. He's getting a little more comfortable throwing on the run. Like he has shown noticeable improvement even from week one to now. Like I do have to give him credit where it's due. Like he has been a better player than I thought he would be. And it's working, right? This Broncos offense is working right now. So I'll say they win 31-17. Broncos, comfortable win. They're feeling themselves right now. And you know what? They should be. They should be. This is a good football team. And I think they certainly have the inside track to making the playoffs. Rightfully so, right? I mean, they have the 7th seed right now. So, all right, 3 more games. 3 fun ones. Oh, we saved the best for last, didn't we? We saved the best for last. This one maybe not quite as crazy with some of the injuries, but you just never know when these two teams get together, right? You just never know what exactly is gonna happen. This is a classic, an NFC classic. We've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it in the regular season. Really, since the beginning of time, right? These are two of the premier franchises in the NFL. It's in Lambeau Field, a glorious venue for just a classic matchup. Football royalty will take the field, and even if it's lost some of its luster due to injuries, we still might be in for a good one. It's the 49ers and the Packers in Lambeau. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. This is America's game of the week, right? We've got Burkhardt and Brady in the booth. Yeah, let's do this, man. Let's do this. You know what? Maybe we'll be in for a good one. Now, obviously, the big story of this game, right? No Brock Purdy for the 49ers. We're about to really see this hypothesis of, oh, can anyone succeed in this offense, right? And obviously, the 49ers have other injury concerns outside of that, right? I mean, no Brandon Ayuk, right? Christian McCaffrey is back, but he clearly has not been 100%. I mean, he's just not as explosive, right? And he still poses a big threat in the receiving game, and he's opened up a lot. But as a runner, like he just doesn't have the burst he had last year. I worry about that a little bit. It's like, man, like maybe I don't even want to say it, but like it might be like the beginning of the end for him, right? He's 28 going on 29. Extensive injury history, and now he's dealing with Achilles tendonitis. Like, even though he's playing, this is a good get-right spot for him, though, against the Packers defense that can get got in the run game a little bit, right? If McCaffrey goes out and has a good game today, that's a good sign. That's an encouraging sign. It's not a given, though. Last year, it would have been like, oh, he's going to run wild. This year, let's see if he can get to 80 yards. I don't know, man. Deebo Samuel starting to decline a little bit. I feel like I've been super negative about the 49ers this year. I'm not trying to be mean. And I know I've got some 49ers fans that watch this channel, so I'm sorry about that. But Deebo's a guy who, like, man, injuries are starting to take a toll too. They just pile up, and his game is so heavily based on athleticism, right? He hasn't been nearly as productive this year. You've seen some of the design runs aren't even working as well anymore. It's like, man, you just take so many hits, you start to run out of answers. Kittle is back. That's a big deal, right? Kittle versus these Packers linebackers is probably one of the biggest mismatches that they're going to have to exploit. We know about the whole Kyle Shanahan is going to put a target on one of the linebackers' heads and just go after him. That's going to be Kittle, I think. I think that's going to be Kittle. So offensively, if the 49ers want to win this game, I think they really got to get George Kittle going. He is obviously one of their best players and one of their most important players, and they missed him a lot, Appreciate another super chat, Jack. Thank you. Let me like this. Top 5 reasons why Fred Warner is horrible and a wuss. Well, I know he's got some history. Again, I'm not as locked into the Fred Warner lore, but I know he's got some history with like some hits, right? Maybe potentially. I know Seahawks fans don't like him necessarily. As a player, though, he's not horrible, unfortunately. He won't win DPOY, though. That was my take like 4 weeks into the season. I was like, dude, he's going to win DPOY. Nah, I don't think so. How about that? No DPOY for Fred Warner. Does that satisfy your appetite? No award for him. He's going to have to carry. Oh my gosh, Nick Bosa's out. I'm just seeing that now. Yeah, see, here's the thing too, right? This 49ers team has crazy high-end talent, but they're another team that's just like, they're not quite as deep, right? And without Nick Bosa, I mean, we saw last week, Bosa went out against the Seahawks, and they really took a nosedive. Their defense is kind of mid without Bosa, honestly, right? And no Charvarius Ward either, their cornerback one. I am going to pick the Packers in this game, right? I mean, I said earlier, I think this could be a big Josh Jacobs game. We saw the Packers run wild on the 49ers in the playoffs last year with Aaron Jones, and this defense feels even weaker than that iteration. LaFleur is probably fired up after what happened last year. This is another little, like, friendship, frenemy, rivalry game, right? These two guys from the famous Shanahan tree, they were best buddies and traveled across the league with each other before coming into their own as head coaches. Yeah, it's been a good back and forth battle. I think LaFleur's got this one. I think he's got a little bit of a better team this year. It's in Green Bay, and this Packers run game is pretty legit, right? Their line is blocking well. Josh Jacobs is running well. Fred Warner can only do so much. He might have to carry the defense, and I just don't know. The Packers have too many weapons in their bag, right? You do wonder about the Jordan Love turnovers, right? Maybe Jordan Love has a bozo game and there's like 2 picks and one of them is a pick 6 and the 49ers get good field position off the other. I don't know, man. I feel like the 49ers are just starting to run out of steam a little bit. This might be their last stand, right? How ironic. It's against Matt LaFleur's Packers. Can the 49ers band together one final time and save their season? I mean, if they lose, we're going into Thanksgiving. They have a losing record, Can they save their season in Lambeau? I don't know, man. I don't think. Not today. Not today. Maybe not this year. One final thing. No, they should not fire Kyle Shanahan. I know that's been a take on 49ers Twitter. No, they shouldn't. I mean, if they did, he would get hired within 30 minutes, and that should really be all you need to know. No, they should not fire Kyle Shanahan. But I guess I should give a score prediction. I'll say Packers 28, 49ers 19. Packers 28, 49ers 19. Sebastian saying, Doctor, you forgot the Packers are cursed against the 49ers. That is true. Not today. Matt LaFleur's got some magic planned, I think. He's going to reverse the curse. But as a fair, that is actually a thing, There's the psychological aspect of the game. But here we go. This is a good one right here. This could end up being maybe the best game of Sunday right here. The Cardinals and the Seahawks in Seattle. This is a fun one right here. I'm fired up for this one. Man, kind of wish this was America's game of the week for all the love I've given the classic matchup, right? These are the two teams with probably the best chance to win the division right here. Cardinals and Seahawks. Maybe the Rams. They got a big game in their own right. But man, how about the football the Cardinals have been playing recently, right? This offense is legit, man. Kyler Murray playing some excellent ball. They're starting to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved a little bit more, right? Starting to maybe scheme up some looks for him, make it a little bit easier for him, right? They're not asking him to do all this hard stuff necessarily. He can do it, but let's get him on a slant. Let's get him on a drag, right? Let's get him on a dig route. Let's make it a little bit easier for him. It's working. Trey McBride coming alive, right? Great tight ends. And we all know about this nasty, nasty Cardinals run game. I mean, shoot, the Cardinals have won 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. They are red hot right now. Kyler Murray is playing some of the best football of his life. And the defense, like I talked about earlier with Gannon, not very talented, but they play hard and they do weird stuff schematically, and that has been enough. They have been punching above their weight on defense for the second year in a row. It is a good, fun team. A good, fun team. Going up against Seattle, who's maybe starting to right the ship a little bit, right? They started out 3-0, and then, they lose 3 straight, and there's some problems with the defense. Mike McDonald gets rid of every linebacker. They bring in Ernest Jones. Defense is looking a little bit better, though. Even that game they lost to the Rams, right? Defense looked pretty good, all things considered, against a very good Rams offense. Defense looked great against the 49ers last week. Maybe they're starting to turn the corner back again, right? And the offense is getting a little bit healthier, right? Abraham Lucas is back. That was a big deal we talked about last week. Offensive line just has to be better by default, having all their starters out there. Geno, we love him, right? Great quarterback, and the weapons are great. Very talented team. Maybe get some positive momentum. I struggled picking this one so much, man. A few weeks ago, I would have been terrified of this Cardinals run game against the Seahawks, right? And I still think that might be a mismatch, but I don't think that they're going to rush for 200 yards now like I might have thought a few weeks ago. Ernest Jones has been such a difference maker for Seattle, man. Oh, man. Jack is saying if the Seahawks could contain a run, they can definitely win. These wide receivers are a pretty big mismatch against the secondary. I am taking Seattle in Seattle. Give me the Seahawks in a thriller. 31-28. Give me the Seahawks. I think I picked them in the pick'em too. I was trying to remember. I'm taking the Seahawks in Seattle. I think this is going to be a great game though. I'm going to be locked in for this one. I don't know. JSN and DK and wait, Geno's throwing the football. That might just be a little bit too much. The Cardinals defense, man, again, they've been holding their own, but this is a different animal. This is going to be tough to hold up against this passing attack, I think. We'll see if this is the ultimate test for this new look Seahawks defense right here, right? We'll see. We'll see. What do you got, Mike McDonald? Did someone say Mike McDonald? Anyways. Let's go, Mile Marker. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you in here saying hiya, Doc, and come on, Seahawks. Went back and listened to my take on Lions Colts and knew that I'd take the Colts. Tisk. Fair enough, right? Very predictable, right? Very on brand for me. We'll see. Maybe I'll look a little foolish, but we'll see. Parachamp thinks the Cardinals get it done. Cardinals' weapons are going to be too much to handle. That is true. They've got some great weapons in their own right. Obviously they've got Marv. Michael Wilson's playing well. Trey McBride in that run game. And Kyler Murray, man. Whoo. Jack saying Seahawks offense has to get things going, though. 20 points ain't going to get it done. That is true. They had a bit of a clunker. Not a clunker, but a weird game against the 49ers. But I don't know. I think they've got the horses to really take advantage of this secondary of the Cardinals. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Game Solved saying, what do I think about Seahawks home field advantage now that they are 2-4 at home? Does it still exist? And is there a reason for this down year? I'm going to have to lock in and look at the decibel levels and see, has the 12th man fallen off? I won't think so. From the Seahawks games I have tuned into, it seemed pretty loud there. I don't know. You can't go undefeated at home every year, I guess, right? Jack is saying bandwagon season ticket holders. The reason the Hawks' home field advantage has dwindled is because the season ticket holders sell their tickets. That is true. I have seen some of that on Seahawks Twitter. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know. I think they show up today, though, right? There's some more excitement injected into this organization now. They've got a chance to make a statement here with a big, big game. Speaking of big, big game. Oh, this one's going to be awesome. This game is going to rule. Sunday night. Waiting all day for Sunday night. If you guys consume some of the nerdier podcasts out there, right? Like the Mina Kimes podcast or Football 301, or even Heed the Call. Jordan Rodriguez gave a great speech about the game, the lore behind this game. This has been a matchup 6 years in the making, not necessarily between these two teams, but between two coaches. And so if you haven't heard this speech or heard this sort of narrative yet, I'm going to share it with you now because honestly, this is just so fascinating. And to me, this is the culmination of 6 years of the NFL completely shifting, and especially of the Rams completely shifting. Let's go back to 2018. One of Sean McVay's first years with the Rams, right? Year 2 with the Rams, I believe. Sean McVay. Rams, unbelievable offense that year. Todd Gurley going crazy, would go on to win Offensive Player of the Year. Rams would go on to make the Super Bowl that year. Just melting everyone's faces. Sean McVay, the wonderkind, right? Just changing the NFL. His own take on the Shanahan scheme a little bit, right? He did the thing where Jared Goff would get to the line quickly. He would feed him info, what he saw on the defense, all that stuff, right? But it was a lot of wide zone, play action, playing the hits of like a Shanahan scheme, right? But the way they did it just completely took over the NFL. Sunday Night Football, they run into the Bears. The Khalil Mack Bears, the year they had that crazy defense. Their defensive coordinator was Vic Fangio, guy who's been around the block for a long time. And Vic Fangio said, you know what? Sean, I've been watching your games. I'm going to take away what you do. We are going to have 6 down defensive linemen and just overwhelm the front. There's going to be no cutbacks for that outside zone, right? Can't stretch it out and cut back when everyone is just pushing ahead so far, right? We're going to take away that. We're going to take away the play action. We're just going to have everyone play deep behind that, right? 6 down defensive linemen and then deep zone behind it. That's the layman terms, right? And it absolutely worked. The Rams got pummeled on Sunday Night Football, right? They would go on to make the Super Bowl. People are like, like whatever. You can't win every game. They got just absolutely battered, though, by Vic Fangio. Bill Belichick was watching that game pretty closely, and he thought, hey, that's like the only time anyone has slowed down this Rams offense this year. We've got them in the Super Bowl. We've got 2 weeks, right? We've got that extra week off with the Pro Bowl and everything going on. I'm going to coach my defense to play like this. For 2 weeks, I'm going to completely change my defensive scheme, right? They stole Vic Fangio's game plan against this Rams offense, and it worked. Rams scored 3 points. It was a super boring Super Bowl, right? 13-3. Rams offense got completely shut down. McVay got absolutely dunked on. And then everyone saw that, and then they started to play the Rams like that. That was the beginning of the end for Jared Goff in LA. That was the beginning of the end of this iteration of the Rams. Fast forward to now. Everything that the Rams do is because of that game against the Bears back in 2018. The Rams don't really run outside zone runs anymore, right? They run like up the middle with Kyron Williams. They have a big, strong offensive line. They batter people now. They're a physical running game, right? They got rid of Jared Goff. McVay knew he needed a more like legit option at quarterback. Obviously, Goff is playing great now, right? This is not Jared Goff disrespect, but Goff back then was not the player he is now, right? McVay knew he needed to take a swing at quarterback and make an upgrade, right? Everything that the Rams do now has been a counterpunch to that game. I mean, you look at the way the Rams played the following year, they missed the playoffs. People thought that was the beginning of the end of the Rams, right? Oh, they went all in and they didn't get it. And McVay has been figured out now. McVay has adapted. He has completely changed his offense. And so here we are again, 6 years later. This is the very first time that Sean McVay has faced Vic Fangio since that game. And the Eagles defense is playing unbelievably well right now. I said they might be the best defense in the NFL. This Rams offense is healthy. We know I love them. We know I love Stafford and these receivers. Here we go. Can McVay get back? Can McVay get his revenge? This was the man that completely changed McVay's career, it completely changed the Rams organization. Can they do it? Sunday Night Football again in SoFi under the lights. I'm picking the Rams. McVay's got a plan for me. McVay's got a plan for this game. You don't think he hasn't been stewing about this game all year? Sean McVay is obsessive and petty. He lives in his offense and lives in his offense. Wow, I can't speak right now. He lives in his office and stays up until 3 a.m. grinding tape. He's got something. I really do. You know what? I think the Eagles are maybe a little bit of a better team. Their defense is ridiculous. They've got a great pass rush. Those young corners are sick. McVay is coaching, or Fangio is coaching extremely well right now. The Eagles wide receivers are sick. I think the Rams go out and score 35 today and just blow everyone away. It's like, wow, this team is legit. You know, I've been pushing some Rams agendas. I think they can absolutely go on a run and make the playoffs. This is a game they're going to have to win, but I think we're in for a barn burner today. Give me the Rams 35-30 offensive shootout masterclass on both sides of the ball. The big thing is, can they protect Matthew Stafford? That's going to be the big thing, right? This Eagles pass rush is really good. And for as much as I've said about, the Rams offensive line is big and beefy now, they have struggled in pass protection a lot this year. And that's been the key. If you can pressure Stafford, you can slow down this Rams offense a little bit. Stafford's older. He's never been the most athletic guy to begin with. He has a few scrambles in him and he can throw on the run a little bit. But for the most part, right, we saw the Dolphins put Stafford on his back a lot, and that's what won him this game. If the Eagles can do that, they might be able to win, but I just think McVay has a diabolical game plan that he has been storing away for years now for this game. This is really just me worshiping Sean McVay a little bit. I know, like honestly, he is probably my favorite coach. I love Sean McVay so much. I think he's just, the way he's evolved his offensive scheme based off of like just getting punched in the mouth by the Bears 6 years ago and just adapting from that. A lot of coaches would have never dared to do something different, and they would have kept trying to make it work and make it work and make it work, but not McVay, right? I mean, there's a culture, there's a belief. People have written off the Rams for years now, like, this is the beginning of the end. They went all in. They're too old now, and yet they just keep popping back up. They just keep popping back up. And today they pop up big time and they shock the world, scoring 35 on the big bad Eagles defense. I'm taking the Rams, but I'm stupidly excited for this game. I think this game could be awesome. Jack saying, apparently Puka Nacua has only recently learned that he plays in the NFC West. Really? Probably in like an interview or something he said that. That's kind of funny. Sebastian saying he almost detected Jared Goff slander. Be very careful. No, Goff is like just straight up a much better quarterback now than he was on the Rams, right? Like this Lions iteration of Goff is just straight up a better player. I got to give him credit. Like he has absolutely turned the corner. He seems more confident himself now, right? He is a better player, just straight up, Pear Champ would like the Rams to win, but doubt they can overcome the Eagles defense. I totally get that. I totally understand that. This Eagles defense is pretty darn good. Maybe Stafford gets hit a lot and they lose. This is really just me betting on McVay, man. I don't know what else there is to say. I got to give McVay some love. First ballot Hall of Famer. One of the best coaches I've ever seen. Gabe saying, can I give him thoughts on the 2022 Minnesota Vikings draft class? Yeah, probably not some good ones. Vikings draft class 2022. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah. I don't have very many good thoughts on this. We've got Lewis Cine, who's no longer on the team. We've got Andrew Booth, who's no longer on the team. We've got Edward, who is all right. He's no longer one of the biggest liabilities in the NFL because his rookie year, he legitimately was like truly, truly terrible. He's fine. I still don't love that he's a starter, but whatever. He at least can be on the roster. Brian Asamoah, I think he's on the team. He does not play at all. Caleb Evans, we just cut him. That's crazy. Another guy not on the team. Most of these guys aren't on the team. Honestly, Ty Chandler was probably our best pick in this class. That is crazy. Vidarian Lowe, he scored a touchdown last week for the Patriots, believe it or not. Nick Muse and Jalen Naylor, okay. Not bad for 6th and 7th rounders. This was pretty bad, though. Kwesi's gotten a lot of heat for this class, rightfully so. It was his first class. He traded down 20 spots to get Lewis Cine, and now he's cut. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But you know what? Kwesi's turned it around a little bit. He's had some better drafts, and I think he's been phenomenal in free agency. All right, so we got one more thing here before we wrap this show up. We're going to do a little bit of a pigskin parlay action right here. We've got the Tyreek Hill free square. We'll take that right away, right off the bat. Shoot, who are some guys that I was talking up earlier? Who do I like a lot? I said Josh Jacobs, right? What is he looking like? Josh Jacobs. Ooh, that's pretty high. What about Roma Dunze? He was a guy I was thinking about doing. We'll just do like a little $5. Nothing too crazy. Roma Dunze. Oh, I like this a lot. Oh, 46.5 yards for Odunze. I really like that. I like Odunze's matchup versus the Vikings. I like how the Bears made an effort to isolate him and give him some one-on-ones last week. I think they could hit a big player too. Do I go yards or fantasy score? Fantasy score of 9? That's so low. That's so low. But especially the yards. I'm going to go Odunze. Yeah. We'll just do that for $5. Nothing too crazy. If Odunze gets 9.1 fantasy points, I like that. We did lose last week. Whatever. It's chill. But it'll load. And we got it. Jaguars under losses for week 12. I would hope so. I would hope so. I hope they don't lose on their bye week. But as always, man, that was a blast. You know, sometimes even the clunker weeks can be fun, right? You know, I think we will have some fun here today. I have a few crazy upset predictions, right? I think we've got a great looking 4 o'clock window. The Sunday night game, now you got a little bit more lore if you weren't familiar with the McVay Fangio lore. And the Monday night game, that's going to be a banger. We'll be going live for Monday night. The Harble. Oh, brother, right? Oh, I can't wait for that. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Nice little 2-hour stream right here to get you ready. We are less than an hour away from football, 50 minutes till the first window of games kicks off. And you know what? You enjoy the games too, Jack. All of you guys in here, go enjoy the games. Have yourself a killer NFL Sunday. Get something good to eat, kick your feet up, and relax. That's what I'm going to be doing all day long. Let's have ourselves a freaking Sunday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys all tomorrow night. Should be a good one. Should be a good one. Game Solved made another Sporkle quiz. Let's go. We will do that tomorrow. We will do the Sporkle quiz tomorrow. Appreciate it, Game Solved. Thank you, Pear Champ. You take care as well. But until next time, see you guys all Monday night.